when
Rev,
people
we
call
have to behave
everyone,
here. This is a different world. This is not my platform.
I didn't realize that. I
Yeah,
thought I
no,
was on yours. Sorry.
no.
That's why I didn't
This
see the
is
invite.
the Holy Rollers Network. So just be careful.
Oh, well, geez. Look, I'm already
Okay.
starting to smoke. Oh, my
Okay.
gosh.
All right. I don't want you to combust. You know.
I know it's getting really hot. Holy cow. Jesus. Ooh.
I like having conversations with the other side, though. Like, what you were saying, Cindy, is that, TikTok is very different from here. And that's what
Mhm.
I had explained to Michael. I go, I don't like TikTok
I'll be right back.
because it's like, okay, they're like, I do political stuff over there. And if they see you with, I was told that any red hat, doesn't matter what it is, it's, you're, it's hate. Doesn't matter. It's
Oh
hate.
my goodness. Wow.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry. And I've always been the type of person that I want to listen to people that have a different view so I can
Sure.
better understand them, right? And
Absolutely.
I think as
Yeah.
Christians, people don't people don't do that. They don't say, "Hey, how are you doing today?" It's as
Absolutely.
simple as that, right? And
Yep.
hear them out and where they're coming from. Instead, it's you need to know Jesus, this, that, and the other thing, and you don't
Mhm.
get to know why they are they believe what they believe, and they have their own opinions. They have their right to think that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't look at it as I'm going to change this person because you're not,
Mhm.
right? Like I can
Right.
tell Rev everything until I'm blue in the face and how I feel and what I've been through, but he's just gonna be like, it's not me, man. I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you,
Yeah. I'll tell you,
and
look, my husband and I pastored a brick and mortar for 18 years, and it was awesome. But I
mm,
always had a heart for the people that would never step foot in a church for all kinds of reasons.
mm-hmm,
And I always said, one of these days, I'm going to have some way. I don't know yet how, because back then none of this existed. But one of these days, I'm going to be able to reach out to the ones who are who are misunderstood, who have been hurt and you know devastated by what Christians have said and what pastors have done, and um, I'm going to reach out to everyone everywhere because everyone has a right to believe whatever they choose. But I
mm-hmm,
just wanted a platform where everyone can sit in the front row. I always say, you're welcome to the front row because we don't have a back row or even a second row. Everyone is on the same playing field. There's no bigwig here. Everyone is
mm-hmm,
welcome. And we've had in all these years more people, atheists, come in and get saved just because they said, I've never felt love like this. I've never felt accepted. I didn't know I could sit right next to you and I could ask my questions. And that's what I do love about
mm-hmm.
all of this. But I'm not interested in making the millions of dollars. I say, if you want to plant a seed, go to our website because the ministries that we support, 100% of it, I don't take a paycheck and never have. 100% of it goes to those ministries. And the things that Jesus was passionate about, that's what we're passionate about. It's so simple. But I'm not interested, and that's why I don't know where Happs is going, because I don't
Mm-hmm.
really understand it. But the gifts that people give, I usually say, don't do that for
Mm-hmm.
me because I don't need it. In fact, I've never even cashed out yet. I don't think there's even enough to cash out because it's just not what I'm doing. So if that's what Happs is going to be, or if that's the main thing to try to draw broadcasters in, it might not be the best place for me, but I don't know for sure. I
Mm-hmm.
wish I did know. I just want to reach hurting people. That's it. That's it. I just want to care about people, and it has nothing to do with salvation because that's their choice. We get to choose. Gosh, I think I'm going to turn this light on just to make it a little
Mm-hmm.
better. But anyway, that's what I want. And I just don't know where do I find that information out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, where
Rev,
do people.
welcome.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to. I don't think we've ever been up on here together. Nice to meet you.
And it's nice to meet you too,
Nice to
both
meet
of
you
you,
as
because
well.
I've never, I don't think, met either one of you.
Yeah, and I.
That I remember.
I gotta say that. I mean, there's a lot of things about the new stuff that I don't like. I talk about it publicly. That's fine, but this is fine. I mean, I do have 8 people on the screen sometimes, so that's a bit of a bummer, but that can be resolved with OBS and some things if you get creative. But this is fine. This looks good. I mean, the old system right now would have like tried to make my head giant because it would have been like pulling me in, like it needed to like fill the frame or something. Like
Oh,
this is, I can totally live with this. That there's not landscape and maybe landscape is coming back. Oh man, I was devastated when I heard months ago that landscape might go away. And I just dealt with it. And I just
mhm.
told myself I'll figure it out because Happs is awesome.
Hmm.
I don't care if you thought that Mark, David, and Drew were doing some kind of world tour of we're awesome. They are. They did create a really cool platform that gave
Hmm.
us a lot of opportunities. So they should have had a little bit of a aren't we great moment, right? I mean, those folks there have worked hard. And it's like I said with Michael the other day, everybody that's complaining, think about if this does go down and all the people that have jobs at HAPS, that we're not going to help them keep their jobs by being a little bit loyal for a little while. So, a few days in, this thing isn't bad. It'll get better. Nothing was
Oh,
taken away. This is a new system.
no,
Michael
what's
and I know
happening
it.
here this morning, this is awesome. My
It's
issue
Mhm.
is
it's
I'm
it's a
on
new
my laptop
sandbox.
and I just need
Yeah, I like
It's a
new
happenings.
brand new
sandboxes.
I need
sandbox.
to
Yeah.
be
No
like
cat
this
poop
on
in
my
them,
No,
you know?
cell
no.
phone. That's
And if
all.
Rev and I get on here, you get beat with shovels. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it's the handsomeness that just drives people crazy when
And
I'm
and
on here,
humbleness,
honestly.
I think, is what really,
Well,
just that
it's work.
humility.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm just glad to know it's not just me. I thought there was something wrong with my system. Now that I know
Nah.
everyone's going through it and it's just a matter of waiting and being patient, that we can do.
Right.
And
Why wouldn't you wait a little bit for the
of
awesomeness,
course,
you
I
know?
agree with that. No,
Hmm.
I, like I said, I thought there was something wrong with my system, with me. I'm doing something
Right.
wrong with this new thing. But now that I see that it's not anything I'm doing wrong, it's just glitches and they're working on it. In fact, that's why I didn't send them an email because I said they've probably got 10,000 emails.
Sorry.
Why would
I'm
we
just
send an
laughing
email?
about that. All the resignation letters online and everything. Oh, man, this is how much I
I'm
hate
leaving.
Oh, do,
Haps
do you know
and
do you
all
know how
these
They'll be
things.
back.
ridiculous that makes the
And
people
then they're
look?
back 10
Yeah,
minutes
but
later. I'm like, wait a
yeah,
minute.
it's like your word isn't worth squat.
Right.
And then they
If you're
say
going to quit,
horrible
quit.
things to the no, they say horrible things about the owners,
And
Hmm.
that's not
like
fair.
they own them,
Right.
Exactly.
No,
and
no,
and
I
they
It's
can
not
tell
they
you,
can't
but
even keep their own affairs in order.
no, we
right,
need
this
to
is owned by
support them
investors.
and we
It's
need
not
to
owned by Mark
embrace
and
them.
David and
Explain
Drew.
I'm
that.
all about
It's owned
that.
by investors.
Now that I
Yeah,
realize it's not me
it's a
or my stuff.
business.
But can I
It
just
is a
ask?
business. And I am an investor in this business because I'm on here.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, Michael, or I'm sorry, I don't know your name, sir.
True Seekers or Justin?
Justin. Okay, True Seekers is fine too. But anyway, just call me handsome. The
All right, handsome.
I'm just kidding. Look, I don't know. I think I'm ready to be annoyed by way too many people watching me. That'll be fine. We'll figure out how to deal with that. But they've
Mhm.
never opened up Happs. It's still not open. There's
No, it's not.
no, not even close. And I've
He's
told
right.
everybody from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And when things changed for me over the summer, and I had some financial issues, I had some um, health issues, I had some new business opportunities, and I wasn't around as much. I'm like, but I'm not going to not be here because you want to be at the front gate, folks. When the gates open, you want to be there saying, "Hi, I'm Revolution. How can I help you?" Not, "I hate Haps, so I've quit,"
Right,
and then
right.
come back
Right.
and
I
whine
love
because
being in the core group as long as
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm doing the right.
That
yeah,
That's all.
This is completely off topic, but that's how I feel about the crypto.com. I was never into cryptocurrency. I didn't like it, wasn't interested in it. Somebody tried, like, I downloaded crypto.com, and then one day I saw it was on the UFC, and I was like, I've been trying to invest in the UFC, so I'm going in. And it was at like 18, 19 cents, and now it's over like 43 cents in less than a month, about a little over a month now. But I can understand when you say let's be revolutionary. Let's be at the very beginning of it. And everybody I have talked to, they're like, oh, I don't have money to invest. I'm like, $10,
If you'd
like,
have invested a nickel in Bitcoin 15 years ago, you'd be a billionaire. So, I mean, even
hmm
investing a small amount, can help. And that's cool that
yeah.
because that's the thing, that's the way life works, right? You found that you didn't like something. Look, again, it's easy to kind of equate with people. Like, first time I see Michael Bathurst, I'm like, oh my God, he is so handsome. I am so in love. And then I meet him and his personality takes him down to a 3. Okay. I mean, right. So it can happen
Right.
the opposite way. I see Michael, I'm like, I mean, he's kind of cute, but we talk and I'm like, ooh, he's a hottie because I get to know him. And so it's more than just what he looks like. So it's like NFTs and cryptocurrency. I don't quite get all that stuff yet, but I'm
hmm
trying to figure it out because I see that there's a possibility to maybe better myself doing it. So I should at least look at it. And that's the thing with
hmm
Happs. Who on earth, like, let's all go over to YouTube right now. First, let's find out who the head of YouTube is. We got to Google them. Then let's get them to come in on our stream.
Right.
Then let's get them to make a change to the platform system wide because just me suggested it, or Michael, or one of you, because that's happened to maybe to all of us. And then like, yeah, where's the community at YouTube? I mean, if you want this platform to grow and you want it to be what you want it to be, stick around because it will change, and we can change with it. So yeah.
hmm Yeah, I definitely agree on that. It's like I said, as far as like the cryptocurrency, knew nothing about it. All I saw was the ceiling, which was Bitcoin, and then I saw the bottom, and I was like, well, I'm getting in 18, 19 cents. Anything from there up is
Yeah.
I'm winning, whether it's
Hmm.
20 cents, 30 cents, I'm not in it to get rich, but if it happens, because I've known people that were like, they had the Doja coin. I just found out the Doja coins, and they had invested like $300. Well, Elon Musk mentions it, and then the next day she has $20,000 in her account,
And the
and
next
I'm
day,
like,
I'd be
hey,
like, half of that would be in my pocket, and the other half would still be in my account. But
I
I
I'm
don't
not
know
I
even going to
why,
bet
I
on
but
it.
think
people.
Mel M just subscribed to you. You've just got a great gift there. She is a wonderful promoter. She's a beautiful human being. Anybody who's lucky enough to have Mel in their camp is in the right direction. So
Wow.
yeah.
How did
Awesome.
you
What a
even
beautiful thing to
see
say.
that? Thank you
It's in
very
the
much.
comments.
Oh,
Oh, I
okay.
see. Very, very
Let me see
nice.
here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ah, yes.
oh, there
So
everyone is.
Oh, there
Okay.
she is. Thank you, Mel. Um, but it was interesting because I have stuff in the stock market and it's just very little, but I haven't made what I made with this cryptocurrency in a full year. And I made that in less than a month. I doubled my money in less than a month. Because I go, look, they've they've got the UFC for 10 years, $175 million deal. Their logo is on the fighter kits, so meaning the shirts that they walk out to. Sorry, the shirts that they walk out with have the logo. Um,
I
and then
I
they,
was the same
sorry,
thing. I was like, red alert, red alert. What is that?
Going
that's
on?
my phone.
It's like my pants are on fire. Help. No.
Holy Toledo. Oof. The bad phone.
So, yeah, it was just it kind of excited me because I was like, wait a minute. Then I found out they connected with Formula One. I'm like, I don't know nothing about Formula One. I know about the UFC. I've actually watched the UFC grow. I started watching it in '98 or '99 when you had to go to a Blockbuster, and we were underage, so we had to get somebody's parent to go to rent it for us. Like and I go, I know where this is going. I've seen it, and I think it's the same thing with Haps. It's at the beginning stages. You got to be, like Michael was saying, you got to just kind of just give it a little bit of time. Rev, you're
Yeah.
right. Just wait. We're in the beginning stages, and I was one of the ones that was frustrated, and I think it was just because I couldn't go live, and I'm like looking at everybody else going live, going, I can't. I'm not special enough,
You
and
are
I try
so
to find.
special. True, true. I do have to go because I got my real life to deal with today. But
What
What is
time is it
that?
where you're at? What
You have
time
it
a
is
is
it?
10:01,
you have a
and
real
PM or
life?
AM?
I have a real life, and I have to
Oh, it's
maintain that because that
10:01
one keeps me
morning?
warm, dry, fed.
Right. There you go. I feel you,
Right.
man.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute. What time is it where you are, Michael?
10:01. It's
A,
Tuesday, November 16th, and the
Oh,
world is
it's
grand.
Monday,
no,
December
a.m.
11th here.
10:01 a.m.
Really?
Oops. 10:01
So, did you
It
take the
is.
red pill today, sir? Like, how did that work?
No, I took the green one. I mixed them
Okay.
up.
Or maybe you
I
took
think it was
both.
NyQuil.
Uh,
But what a
Michael.
blessing to have all of you here together. And I'm so grateful that they saw the potential in True Secret, because you are, buddy, as far as I'm concerned, a rock star. So keep doing what you're
thank you. I
doing.
appreciate it. Thank you,
And
and thank you for
Rev,
your
you know
support.
how I feel about you.
You too, baby. I'll see you
You're
later.
okay looking. You're okay.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
I mean, you know.
Well, I don't need to be in the middle of all your goodness this morning, but I'm just thankful to get a few questions answered, and to not
Yeah.
just think that there was, I just thought, like I said for the 10th time now, that there was something I must be doing wrong because I can't stay live on the cell phone for more than
When
2
did
minutes.
that start? When did
It
that
was
start for
last night.
everybody? Yeah.
Well,
Is
for
it still
me, it was
happening?
last night. I don't know. Well, after I tried, it went off 4 times. So then on the 5th time trying to go back live, it just thought there was suspicious activity. So it said, you're not allowed to go live. Try back later. And then it was,
Well, it might have thought you did a resignation letter online, just assumed it, you know.
yeah, we're not going to wait
You're
till
like,
you
no,
leave.
no, no.
We're going to kick you out. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I think.
exactly.
But then
Hey,
I went on the laptop and it worked fine. But for moving forward, I need to be able to use either an iPad or a cell phone because I need my computer for other things during our service. So that's what I guess I'm. But no one else had that issue where it would just go back to your home screen. It just like would go off and go back to your home screen after like 2 minutes.
I'm gonna be totally honest. I had like spent maybe like a minute and 30 seconds on it when I found out I could go live. I was like, hot dog, I'm live, and then I got off. I have an Apple phone, but it is something, um, it is something to kind of to look into, and I'll kind of mess around with it to see if it happens to me maybe. Um, but I do know, like I said, it, I think what it is you can test something as much as you want with, let's say, 1,000 people, but it's not going to compare to like what Michael said when it's 10% and then it goes to 50. So they're going to have those issues, that you're going to, um,
I'm seeing if
you're going
my
to have to
mobile,
work on.
I'm seeing if my
Oh, I
mobile
see.
will
You see
stick.
what Rick Costa says that Yuki Berry last night held up her iPad 6 times and we watched it crash every time in less than a minute. So it's just
Hmm.
it's temporary then.
Hmm.
So we're all going to hang tight. We're all going to link together, right? And be that community that we're to be. And we're going to, if you pray, if you're a praying,
Did she freeze?
She
She
did.
did.
Uh-oh.
I'm
I'm
curious
curious
to
to
see
see if
if my
my
mobile
mobile
stays
stays
connected.
connected.
That's interesting. Yeah, yes, there's a glitch that crashes home screen. Me too. Again, I think it may be because there's more users now. You don't run into problems until you cross that bridge, you know.
Mm.
So I think that that's what it's, what it could be.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
personally like my computer.
yeah, I'm not I use the mobile when I'm out and about, definitely. Like if I'm walking around and want to do a quick little stream or whatever, but I don't tend to do those very much. I'm using my iPhone for my video camera. I've got OBS. I've got the desktop. I love that. But if you want to use your mobile phone, people should use their mobile phone and they'll get the kinks worked out. I mean, that's the thing. If you listened to what they were saying, this experiment right here, I think they maybe have enough. I don't know, honestly, don't know how much money they have left from that 4.5 million. It's none of my business, but it seems like this is about a year or so. I think they think that they're going to need to continue to invest in this new idea, this new possibility. and they have a longer term plan than that. I don't think they're planning on going anywhere. So if you're in on the ground floor of something, you got to stick to it. Like you said,
Hmm.
tough it out for a little while before you sell your stock.
Yep, and that's pretty much what Tony D was telling me. So if you're having
Good.
issues, I would just say do it for like, just give them like 3 days, give them 4 days. Let them, because again, I was frustrated. I was, you know, watching Michael and Tony and everybody that, I interacted with before being able to go live. And I'm like, I can't even go live, you guys, um, and, and I had to kind of pull myself back because when Tony was like, look, man, relax. I was
Hey,
like, you
if
know what?
Tony can go
He's right.
live on his system, because his system is, not super robust, you'll get there too. And that Tony and Lenny and Michael and now you and um anybody now that's really just I loved it because there were two camps that you were seeing. The WTF camp, like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. The sky is falling. I can't believe this. And then there was the, yes, oh my God, the sky is falling, but let's figure it out together group. And
Hmm.
and that's, like that was great to see. I was not I wasn't broadcasting a lot the first day or two because I kind of have a regular time frame and you know what I mean, just kind of randomly broadcasting isn't kind of my thing, but then I jumped into Michael's broadcast and I just was it was heartwarming to see everybody saying to everybody, "Look, let's figure this thing out together." And nothing has been taken away. That's the thing. This is a new thing from the ground floor up. That old system that they had, it's actually I said it to Michael, they could sell that system to somebody because it's actually a fairly robust browser-based system. Because think about it, with Zoom, it's a separate software package that you tend to use. Some people do use the browser, but not too many. But they have a really robust browser-based broadcast system that somebody could buy and do something else with. This is seems to me like it's built from the ground floor up. And
Hmm.
if you look, presentations coming back, uploading videos coming back, and there'll probably be features that we haven't even thought about.
And that's what I was, telling somebody in the comments earlier is like they're going to bring things back because like a lot of my content was, like with what Michael does, he plays the music and things like that, and you're like, well, where did my share screen go? Like how can I present now? And again, like you said, you just have to. It's going to come back, and I think what they do, well, I forget the name of what exactly it is. I could look it up, but I was actually learning it in school, where
Mhm.
they figure out like what's the issue. There's 6 steps to this. They analyze it. They figure out why things are happening, what you can make better, and then you could just kind of implement that for the growth of it. And I think this one is actually better because for me, I would be plugged in directly to Ethernet and I'm still glitching and unstable, and I'm like, how is this like I know how it's possible, but I'm just in my head like, how is this possible? And that's what I told Michael. It makes it frustrating for me because here I am trying to create some content, just have a conversation with people, um, and I couldn't even do that. So this one, in my opinion, was far more superior than the other one because I mean, but there were things that I liked. You could have it seemed like 20,000 people on all at once. You had mentioned you usually had about 8, as opposed to somebody like me, I'll have 4, maybe 5, if that. um so yeah, I just think it'll get better. I think they'll bring it back. I think people are going to, like you said, I think they're going to jump ship too early, right? I've had somebody that I spoke with that was like 10,000 followers. That's absurd. And I'm like, well, they're probably trying to weed everybody else out. And if you are really a content creator, which I am, but I'm not that big, but if you're big, that shouldn't be a problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole um I no, look, there's no doubt. I think they could have approached some things differently in terms of even we could have, maybe giving people a heads up about the 10,000 thing in a different way or whatever. But I mean, quickly people figured out, and maybe they even said it. I don't remember because there were so many different, things going around. But, if you got three people that each have 4,000, people, then you guys can kind of hop up and broadcast. But I think that the getting, I don't want to say that the folks at Happs wanted to do something that might eliminate some of the bad apples, but if it does, I mean, you do got to get rid of bad apples one way or another. So, if you classify yourself as a bad apple and don't try to figure a way around it, then it is what it is. It is tough, but the other thing is, as Michael and I have been saying, it is a business. The bandwidth must be insanely expensive. They don't have their own rack of servers sitting off the coast of Costa Rica somewhere or something, buried deep in the ocean or something. They're paying somebody else, to have all that bandwidth. So I would imagine when this thing is up and running and super successful, people will be able to get on maybe with less or whatever. But I see how they want to make sure that the people they're happy and they're successful when they're broadcasting. But I mean, the three of us right now, I don't know how we can see that now because I'm up here with you, but you know, we're well over the 10, and just get a group of people and do it. And I said this too. I broadcast at 10 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. I'm supposed to. I haven't been for a while, but if you want to go on at noon on Saturday or 8 p.m. on Saturday, and I'm free, or you want to hit me up a few days before and say, "Hey, man, are you doing anything on Saturday night? I'd love to broadcast my show. I don't have enough people." We'll jump on together. I'll take myself off screen. I'll go dinner with my family, whatever I'm going to do, and you go have fun. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I'll get you up there if you want, and then, build your following. Be
Yep.
yourself. If people like who you are, you'll get there. And if you can't get up there and I've got the time, I'll get you up there. I'm there for it.
Yep.
Can
I
I,
I to
sorry, but
Go ahead.
my whole internet crashed. Otherwise I would never have left without saying goodbye properly. But
You want to say goodbye
apologies.
now?
Maybe I should say goodbye now just for when it does happen again. But
Exactly.
yeah, goodbye. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. But the one little thing I just want to ask, because I came in the middle, the 10,000. Someone said to me last night that you need 10,000 followers to go live. Is that
Mhm.
true? Because then I went and asked Google, who usually knows everything, and they
Hmm.
said 1,000.
No,
So
No,
it's 10,000.
it's
to go
10,000.
live?
Mhm.
Yes, but can you go live now?
Yeah.
Yeah, well then you're
Mhm.
then you're blanco listed. Whitelisted is a horrible word. You're on the list. You're in. You're on the
Mhm.
list.
Even if I don't
You
Yeah.
have
can get
10,000.
Yeah, you can get into the
Right.
club,
Oh, you
The
mean like,
bouncer sees
oh,
you and it's like, "Oh, it's you. Come on in." Yeah, you're good.
oh, are
Mhm.
you kidding? So someone brand new coming in
Yes. Or
needs to
no, it's
build up
Say
their
with
possible.
the
phone.
No, no, no. It's very possible that you've been broadcasting for a while. You didn't meet the threshold and they didn't
No.
let you in. You can ask them, say, "Hey, remember me? I'd like in." And they can say, "Yeah, we do. We don't want you in." Whatever. I mean, I don't know what they're doing about that. I don't
Yeah.
know what they're doing about that.
So
But
you're
I would
saying,
imagine anybody that didn't quite make it in that maybe they missed, I would imagine they've probably let them in. Yeah.
okay, I see Rick Costa saying anyone that has broadcasted within the last 30 days was grandfathered in.
There you go, Rick. Right. I like that.
Okay.
Looking
Well,
like
I
a
Yeah.
guess
grandfather. I
that
like
was
that word.
great for us then.
There there is a list though that got mixed up because apparently when I was dealing with it and throwing my fit because I couldn't go live,
Mhm.
I eventually talked to Pablo yesterday, and he's like, "Look, there was a list that got mixed up. Um, sorry,
The
try
dudes
again."
with the hats list, you were on
Yeah,
the wrong one.
yeah,
The red
yep,
hat list. It's the
yep.
red hat
I
list.
was I was
I
on the
mean,
wrong
stuff's
one
gonna
for sure.
happen, right? And that they fixed it, for you should be a testament to everybody that they're trying and they're working
Yeah.
hard. The other thing I want to say too, real quickly, Michael's not here, but um, all of the little shows and stuff that they've stopped, shocker, somebody else could start them. I've kind of thinking about maybe what we should do maybe for like a stream of the year or the top 10 streams of the year. We could all do that together. We could pick a Sunday. We could all do stream of the week on Sunday. We could rotate who hosts it, whatever. If everybody wants that stuff, bring it back, right?
Sure.
Right.
There's no reason. I'm happy to. I think it'd actually be cool if we did a stream of the week and it was kind of like a you nominate people and then we have some kind of voting or something. You could do all kinds of fun stuff. Pablo and Peter were doing that to build community, and it was it was part of their job. When the system changed, those things aren't within kind of the structure of what they're doing. So doesn't mean somebody else can't pick it up and do it. I'd watch it. I love stream of the week. And if somebody wants to start stream of the week, or if somebody wants to do it with me, again, let me know. We'll figure it out.
I want to do
Yeah.
whatever's fun.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. This is
But I
supposed
do,
to be
I do,
fun.
we have 5 services a week, but there's 2 days then that we don't have. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'd love to be a part of whatever's good and great, and why not?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Looks
it,
like this has been staying on with you guys. This hasn't dropped off.
well, you know what? Mine is
Huh.
on too, and so
Yeah,
that's maybe it's fixed now.
Maybe they
maybe it's
fixed it.
fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
mean,
yeah,
you usually when they fix stuff like that, it's in the middle of the night where there's not a lot of people on. Otherwise,
Oh,
it would affect
yeah.
the whole
Crash the
entire
system or
platform.
something.
Yeah. Hmm.
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So now I just know almost nothing about any of this technology stuff. So quick question. If this 10,000 thing is kind of the rule for new
Mhm.
people coming in, that does not affect people watching, correct?
No, no, and the
Yeah,
people who come to watch your show, they won't know that they can't broadcast unless they
right,
try. And I would
right.
imagine most people that watch our shows don't try to broadcast.
No,
So it's
exactly.
not going to be that big of a deal. Now, where it does disappoint me, and I've said this, is one of the things that I really love about what I was doing at Happs was bringing new people to the platform and getting them started on the platform.
Mhm.
But now, if I just bring a guest that doesn't have a big social media following, they can't just jump on. But I certainly can do another show with them or connect them up with a group of people or whatever we can find. We can find workarounds. But yeah, I mean, most people, it's not going to affect them because they're just going to want to watch your show. They're not going to want to broadcast. And if they want to come up, they can come up. Right? They don't have to have
Okay.
10,000 people to join your show.
Got it. Got it.
So, and here's the thing: you can. So, if True Seekers and I have, some people each, and you have, 4,000 people, we can, I haven't actually don't know how it works, but I guess I try to go live. I can't. I invite you and 2 other people that have enough people, and then we can do it. I'd actually love to try that. Maybe I should try it with an account. Ooh, I could do that. I could try it with one of my other accounts that like has no followers, and see if I can start a show with them with that account by adding me with the 25,000 followers. But that's how it works in theory.
Hmm.
So yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem for anybody that's been here for the last 30 days, and
Got it.
that's pretty darn generous because genuous,
Generous.
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 Well, here's the thing: I have
Genuous.
this
I like that.
delay
That's good.
in my Bluetooth because Apple doesn't have the low latency. But usually it works itself out. But sometimes when I'm hearing myself in the echo, it's really hard to talk on a short delay. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, like I said when I first came on here, I'm totally 100% used to this format now. The 4 little boxes, and I mean, this is
That's
fine. It's
it
cleaner.
is
It
fine
looks
with me.
better.
Mhm.
Yep.
I am a little, it's a little frustrating that there's no landscape. But if you pop me out right now, we don't need my mobile on there anymore. Here, I'll leave the then the person on the top's basically in landscape mode.
Hmm.
So
I never
um,
use landscape anyway. So
I love
that.
the landscape.
Did
I'm
you?
well,
I
with
that's my
Rev.
I
style.
always
Yeah,
thought it would make you
mine
like,
too.
oh, now you're
Landscape was my
landscape
style.
at the top.
And pop me up in the top for a second. See,
So
now
now
you
you're
can
like,
see
okay.
now
Oh
you
yeah.
can see my paper plate with my light on it. See, now I like that.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
I have to,
so
I have to fix that. But we're landscape. Trust me, we're pretty wide. If you're seeing my
That's pretty
paper
wide.
plate with my light on it, then
I see it.
yeah,
we're definitely seeing stuff we didn't before.
Yeah, I
yeah.
have to actually
There you
move
go.
because my computer's gonna go dead. Everything's just failing here on me. I gotta plug in. So now you're seeing the other side of my office.
There you go.
But I'm plugged
Ah.
in. All right, we're good. Well, you know what? I
Mm.
feel so happy just being able to speak with you guys this morning, because honestly, I didn't know who I was going to ask any question to, and everyone, is saying, "Let us know. Are we going to have service tonight or not?" And I didn't know. I don't know.
Mhm.
I still really don't know. I guess with the computer we can, as long as I use my laptop rather, and possibly the iPhone. Like you said, it's been working this whole time. So that didn't happen last night. So they've probably fixed it in the middle of the night, like you said.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's a process,
yeah,
and we're in it.
I
So
mean,
we're
we're
in it.
lucky. We're here, able to broadcast. There's a community, and the community's here. The community can support each other. The community can find ways, to make this thing meaningful. And it's just typical human reaction to change, which is that they don't like it.
That's right.
And I mean, it's progress. We're
mhm.
still here. We're still able to broadcast, and I think at the end of the day, this is what I do, right? I mean, um, if it affects anybody the most, it's the Bobby Bickers, it's the Randy Hortons, it's the people that are professional live streamers, it's the people that do this, for a living, that pay their bills and all of that. I'm not paying my bills very well doing this, but we're getting there. And a year ago, I wasn't working a development deal with a producer on a project that we're trying to sell to the streaming services. That's because of Happs. A year ago, I wasn't chasing money to be an executive producer on a B horror movie. That's because of Happs. A year ago, I wasn't looking for $1 million to fund a feature as an executive producer for somebody who has a film that I really believe in, and now I am. You know what I mean? And a
Mhm.
dozen other things that are happening in my life because of Happs, and then Clubhouse too, the social audio app.
Yep.
But so if anybody should be mad, it should be me, because you forced me to change my format. Well, it's your playground. It is your sandbox. So if you've decided to renovate the sandbox, and I want to still use the sandbox, I have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And which is
David,
really good for all of us. It's good that we keep learning and growing because otherwise we're going to just get, old. We don't want to do
Mm.
that.
David says,
It's good to
weirdly,
learn.
with multiple broadcasters, some of them are shown in a window wider than tall. What's weird is the 2x3 format. So if you just took us all out and there was just one person, it's 2x3. And I couldn't wrap my head around that because it's not 9x16, a nice, like, iPhone size frame. But what I think it is that they're looking to have kind of their own look, right? So when you go on mobile, it is this 2x3 look, and it looks different than everybody else. And I think that's a statement. I think they're trying to say, we want this 2x3 look. We think it works for people. So give them a chance. They did some research, and we would think they know what they're doing because they want to make money. So you know, this works for me. I'm fine with
Yep.
it.
Yeah, me too. I wanted to answer somebody in the comments earlier. He had mentioned something. Let's see if I can find it. But he had mentioned something about creators, or musicians, and they'll see it, and they'll try to do it themselves. And I wanted to say, Rev, when you said what you said about bringing somebody up, that's what Michael and Tony said. Like, look, if give it a little bit of time, if it doesn't work, you're more than welcome to come up on my platform and
Hmm.
have your show. And I think that if people are willing to do that, even for musicians, and I understand some people wouldn't want to ask, but
Mhm.
if you're about your music, if you're about getting it out there, um, when I was doing music, it was pretty much by any means necessary. I'll do whatever it takes
Oh yeah.
to make sure you know it's heard.
Hey, look, being on my show is nothing special other than if I'm asking you as a musician to be on my show and nobody else is, kind of think it
Mm-hmm.
might be a smart thing to come on my show. But I can't tell
Mm-hmm.
you how many people that wouldn't follow up, that didn't have the structure or whatever to do it because it's not just talent. Talent's great, but there are plenty of not talented people that are famous these days because of some luck and some stick to itiveness, constantly being out there. Like if you're a musician and you're afraid to ask somebody to be on their thing, you got to
Yeah.
rethink what you're doing because you got to go to
Right.
nightclubs and be like, hey, you've never heard of
Mm-hmm.
me before. Could you listen to this little used to be a tape and then it was a CD and now it's a link or whatever. Could you listen to this little thing and I can draw a crowd or whatever? Give me a chance on a Friday morning when nobody's here. I'll bring in my own crowd. I mean, you got to be a
Mm-hmm.
hustler if you want to be a
Yep.
musician and you want to make it. You got to be a hustler if you're a pastor, if you want to get your flock in, right? You can't
Yeah,
be
Mm-hmm.
in the office. You got to be out front,
you've got to be. Yeah,
on the
In the
stump out
trenches.
there
Yep.
yeah, in the
saying
trenches.
it.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you got to
No,
Yep.
and
promote,
Well,
promote,
it's
promote.
true. It's a matter of the heart too. What is your heart's intention? If your
Right.
mm-hmm.
intention is for it to be all about you, you're probably not going to go very far. But if your intention
Mm-mm.
is, if you've written a song that you want the song out there, you would be thrilled for it to get out there, even if nobody notices you. You,
Well, they
right?
Yeah.
You
have
see
this
what I mean?
culture of
Whether it's a prayer, whether it's a poem, whether it's a reading, whether it's just a point of view. If you want it to be all about you, then the pride is going to probably close doors, but
right.
humbleness is going to open doors.
Well, and the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, Daniel, you're 100% right. You got to be fearless. And even I agree with you with the humbleness and everything. But if you're like me and you're an entertainer first and foremost, it's okay to say you're awesome. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with it. You can be proud of who you are and
Well, of
what you can
course.
do. And you want to brag a little bit because you want people to kind of see you. Obviously, it needs to be genuine and from the heart. But so many people, it's kind of like that thing where it's like, you know, please be quiet. I don't want you to steal my thunder, but I wasn't quiet when the other guy told me to be quiet so I
Mm-hmm.
could get my thunder, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, be
Yeah. Yeah.
yourself. Be
Yep.
Exactly.
yourself. And if people like you, it's okay to say, hey, my show's pretty awesome. You should watch it. You
Mhm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
if it
And
is,
that
people will. But they do need to know that you have the show and they do need to know that you think it's awesome. Or why would they even watch?
right.
Why would we even spend the hours and the years doing this if we didn't think what we were doing was a great thing, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
and
And
here
and
we
I
all
totally agree. And one of the things that I did as a musician, when I got to Arizona was I went to open mic nights, like where they had the open mic because I learned that a lot of the open mics people really just played like other people's music, so it was basically karaoke. So
Mhm.
when
Hmm.
I came in and was doing hip hop music in the midst of all of this country, and I don't have a problem with country music or any type of music, but it was my own, people recognized that. And to be honest with you, once I started to get momentum, I was just kind of like, whoa, I'm not used to somebody yelling at me going, "You're that rapper guy, right? You're gonna do something tonight, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I'm here." Like that's why I showed up. And so you do have to be fearless. You do have to say,
Hmm.
What can I do outside the box that would allow me to move it forward?" It was the same thing I was talking about with the crypto. My wife was laughing at me with the crypto.com. She saw eventually how it went up quick, and she's like, you want to buy some more?" And I was like, "Sure." As opposed to where before she was like, I don't know. And everybody's like, "Well, I need to understand exactly how it works, how it goes up and how it goes down." And I'm like, "I don't need to understand. all I see is it goes down, and once it shoots real high up, it never goes back down to that low point. So since I bought in, it's never been back down to 18 or 19 cents since then. So you do have to think outside the box. And Rev, you're right. You have to believe in yourself. You know, when you were saying that, I was thinking about Muhammad Ali. I'm the greatest. I'm sure
Yeah.
even after his losses, he was still like, I'm the greatest still.
There's a clip
So
I just saw the other day. That's funny that you mentioned Muhammad Ali, and I think there's a what's that? The guy that did the Civil War series thing. He just did a thing on Muhammad Ali that I want to see. But there's this clip from a while ago that has Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, and basically the host is saying, like, well, if the two of you, would have fought, would Muhammad Ali won? And he's like, no, that dude, I was a rope-a-dope guy. I was the move around guy. If that guy ever hit me, man, he'd knock me out. Muhammad Ali knew his limitations, and he was
mhm,
okay with them, and he knew how to get around them. Right? Muhammad Ali didn't have the best punch. He wasn't the greatest fighter. He was the greatest all-around fighter. He knew how to work the crowd. He knew how to work the ref. He knew how to fight. Damn, wouldn't want to get in the ring with him myself. You know what I mean? He kicked my ass. But he knew his limitations, and he embraced those limitations. When he's saying I am the greatest, he's not saying he's the greatest. He's saying I know who I am. I know my limitations, and what's good about me is what you're going to see, and what's bad about me is what you're going to see, and hopefully at the end of that I'll come out ahead. That's
mhm,
To me, that's what it means when I'm the greatest, when Ali said it. And that dude was the greatest, is a
mhm.
really cool guy.
Yeah,
Well,
that's interesting. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm going to go get ready to go to work, but I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for letting me come on. I really,
Of course.
really enjoyed this. And I'm trying to subscribe to you, True Seekers,
You,
but I
you
can't
keep it
figure out how to
subscribing, and then
do
it
it.
unsubscribes and all this stuff.
How do you do this?
Mhm.
I just,
That
I can't figure it out. Oh well, I'll find you, and
Here, just make a comment, True Seekers, and then she can click on you.
that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, just say anything.
Sometimes it says subscribe to everybody, but I don't see that right now. Ooh,
Because Rev, I think I just subscribed to you.
cool.
Or
Yeah,
tried to.
make a comment so I make sure I can subscribe to you too, please.
Okay, so there's True Seeker, so I'm gonna subscribe. So that went through. Okay, and then I'll just say hello.
Oh, I'm already subscribed, so
Okay, very good.
Let me see.
yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Well, it was super, super nice meeting the two of you, and I appreciate all of your kind words and all of your ideas,
Thanks,
and
Walt.
I feel really, really great moving forward. I really do, and it's
Yeah,
Awesome.
a lot to
just
do with you guys.
crowdsource it. If you got a
Yeah, so
problem,
we just link together and we do this together, and that's how great things happen. So have a
Yep.
beautiful day, and to
You
you
too.
too.
all of you
What's the
over there
dog?
with
What's the
comments.
puppy's name? Let me see.
Her name is Bella, and
Oh, hey, Bella. Oh, she looks just like a little Southern belle herself. There you go. I like it. She
she's
looks a
my
lot
little
like my
baby.
aunt, long deceased Aunt Genevieve. They have a very similar face, and Aunt Genevieve was sweet, but she definitely had that poodle face.
She didn't have a mustache though, right?
But boy, she made a
Oh,
Uh,
good Coca-Cola cake, Aunt
did
Genevieve. I
she?
miss you. I love you.
Thank you, both of you. Have
you're
an awesome
welcome.
day.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
You as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's that's so interesting. Um, that I think that like you said it the best earlier, that if people don't want to be here, then bye.
Yeah,
See
you
you
don't even need a
later.
resignation letter. You can just
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, just buy. And I saw somebody in their broadcast. They were like, their ratings dropped. It's like a 1.7, and I'm like, and you can keep it because in about 2 or 3 years, it'll be back to where it was, and maybe even just a couple of months because, again, they haven't implemented everything just quite yet. And when
Happs
I
has never
first,
tried to get followers. I've
No.
never understood why people haven't figured that out. Like, they have never opened up the pipe. Like, they have the Reddit pipe. They can open the Reddit pipe. It's mostly trolls, but they can open the Reddit pipe up, you know, and they haven't just opened it. Just when this is actually full blown public, if
Mhm.
you're if people like what you're doing, you'll have plenty of followers. It's not going to be a
Yep.
problem, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and and even with what I'm doing, I'm not I'm not I'm not worried about the views or the followers. I did chase the views and the followers to a certain point because it got me noticed. You know what I mean? Those numbers
Mhm.
mattered and got me noticed. But at a certain level, it really doesn't matter anymore. I'm out there enough. The people that like my stuff like my stuff. I'm doing all the promotion on other formats, right? On Instagram. I mean, if you really want to do this and be popular, you can't just be on Happs. You need to be on Instagram.
Mhm.
You need to be on Twitch. You need to be on YouTube. You need to be promoting yourself on Facebook. You know what I mean? It's a whole
Mhm.
process. So, yeah, don't blame Happs if you're not getting the views. If you want views, go ask for them somewhere else and bring
Mhm.
people to your platform.
Yep. And that's interesting that you say that because I was on TikTok. I had to understand that it's a younger generation. I feel
Yeah.
like I shouldn't even be considered as a millennial, whatever. I'm still last of a dying breed. I'm different from, you know, most of them. And it's like, uh,
Well, there's no such thing as millennials. It's just a category that they decided to put on people.
exactly, exactly. And they'll go, "Oh, well, Haps, why haven't I ever heard of it?" And I'm like, "You're probably really not a content creator. You're probably on here just trolling." So, of course, I do kind of like the trolls though over there on TikTok because it gets my troll game up.
I love
Like,
trolls.
okay,
I
you
love
want to troll
trolls.
me? Let's have some fun.
'Cause if you're trolling
Um,
me, that means you think I'm interesting enough to troll me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
seriously, to me, that's high praise. You're gonna waste your precious troll time? You could be trolling somebody
right.
bigger than me, but they don't give a shit about you as a troll. Troll me all day long. Bully me all day long. Now, I will say, if you go to my feed, I have had an issue with a stalker for a while, and at a certain level,
Oh,
that does not become fun. But I've
no.
taken care of that, and that seems to be well at hand. But yeah, bullies are hard because trolls are hard because our subconscious gets involved. But
Mhm.
if you just literally the easiest strategy to stop a troll is not acknowledge them. They'll go
Mhm.
away. But I usually acknowledge them because I like to see if I can make them go away personally. You know what I mean? So, like, I wanna
See,
make the troll cry. I wanna make the troll cry.
mhm.
That's my goal.
Yep. And that's kind of funny because when you said ignore them, because again, I was to the point to where I was like, I don't even like getting on here on live anymore, right? Because I was so like amped up to get the 1,000. I did a video, and then all of a sudden I had 73,000 views in less than
Ooh.
24 hours, and I was like, what
Mhm,
changed? It changed my
mhm.
my platform.
Sure.
And then apparently somebody says that I'm stealing content, which it's so funny because you know how you can duet stuff there. Well, I have this I don't know if you've ever saw that guy that does
But we should do a
the
duet
videos
together.
exactly. We should.
Old guy duet.
And
Anyway, keep going.
let's do it. He's
Yeah.
like he'll watch the video and they do something weird and he's like and then he like does something simple like why wouldn't you just do that? But he never
Mhm,
says anything. So in a lot of the duets that I have with things that I have that are some, a lot of them are political, I just go
mhm,
and he's like, "You didn't add anything to it. You're the only one gaining something. You're stealing their content and their views." And I go, "There's a button that says I don't want somebody to duet this."
mhm.
And I go, "No, some." And I go, "So
Right.
he could do that." And
I
I said,
mean,
"And stealing, wouldn't you think that that would be like a screen recording, you download it, and then you upload it as your own. To me, that's stealing something,
yeah,
right?"
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
yeah.
if I if if you post something and you let somebody duet it, and then somebody with more followers than you makes you explode, right? Like that thing goes viral. Well, oh my gosh, they just stole my idea and made you famous. Come on.
Right.
You know what I mean? You wanted
Right.
them to duet you. You wanted, the Beastie Boys to do a duet with you or whatever. Like,
Right.
otherwise you're right. Now Karen says, I don't like them as they are hateful, as they call me vicious names, and they will put my address up on the screen. My God, I hope that's not your home address, for goodness sakes. Um,
Right.
and if they're doxing you, when that's a whole other level of, of of what you need to do to try to protect yourself and take care of that. And I get it. It hurts. Look, um, my subconscious is wounded all the time, and then it makes me depressed, and I have to find ways, to work through that. But really, no matter how hurtful the stuff is that they say, um, generally, if you just let them say it and don't respond, they'll go away. And I will tell that
Mhm.
to folks in the chat too. Like, no, 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 no. Don't block the troll because they're just going to come in another way. Just don't say
Yep.
anything to them. Like, seriously, like to the moderators, like, don't do anything with trolls unless they say something, like like they do something, horrible, you know what I mean? Then of course you got to block
Right.
them. But I mean, if they're just generally trolling you, they will literally go to the next person that will acknowledge them. It's like trolls was solved a long time ago. Don't interact with them. That's it.
Yes, and I totally agree um, with you because the only time I ever block anybody is when they talk about my parenting. You know,
Mm,
I will literally be at work. I work from home. I work on the
hmm.
computer. I work on chat. So there are times where I can still broadcast or go
Right.
live on TikTok, and they're like, "That poor kid, like, get off social media." You know, are you even, raising your kid, or are you just letting them run around? And I'm like, we've never really had a conversation. So thanks for coming in and just having diarrhea of the mouth. I appreciate that.
Right. Right.
Um,
You
it's
have
just
a
something. Go ahead.
you have enough followers to go live on TikTok?
Yes. I'm telling you.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome,
you. Thank
dude.
you.
I
Yeah.
don't. I
Thank
mean,
you.
I'm on TikTok. Oh my gosh. So TikTok. Anyway, and parenting skills. I know. I do like it though. Like, what you should do, dude. How many kids do you have?
I just have one, and
How
he's
old are
he's a
they?
handful. He's 3.
He's 3. Okay, here's what you need to do.
Hmm.
You need to get yourself this is all VFX now. Don't do this in real life, but get your kid to hold like a mop, okay? And then have that kid in the background like you're not noticing. Get, with VFX, get him to like pour some gasoline on the mop, right? And get them to light that mop and like light your shit on fire and just be doing your show in the background. You know what I mean? Like, you'll have the cops
Oh
at
my
your house in
goodness.
5 minutes. Oh my God, truth seekers, give your kid an empty vodka bottle. Don't really do this. You'll go to jail. You know what I mean? And put water in it and just have that kid swilling it back. You know what I mean? Screw those people. You know?
Right. Oh man. And the only reason that I'm able to go live is because, like I said, I had one video. So thank you,
Oh,
Miss Jen
yeah.
Psaki. Thank you. She was talking, and
Ah.
I literally said nothing, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's where I
Oh
got the
shit.
idea of like
I'm duetting
not saying
everybody now.
anything.
Because
I'm
I need to
like,
go live on TikTok. So
that's how
I'm
I did
duetting.
it.
I've never done a duet. Man, I'm doing duets like you can't believe. And the funny thing with
It's fun.
TikTok, you said about age. No, the way the
Hmm.
algorithm works, you know what I like to do with TikTok? Instagram too, but it's more fun to do with TikTok because it's more reactive. I like
Hmm.
to see how quickly I can change the algorithm. So if occasionally if somebody comes up on screen that I'm not normally into, well, I know that if I stick and watch that whole video, I'm going to get them again. I'm going to get more people like that, right? And then I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, so let's see. Let's see if we can swing it in this direction. Let's see if we can swing it in that direction. So you're not too old for TikTok. If people are saying that you're too old for TikTok, wipe off those people and find some old people if that's what you want, because
Right.
the algorithm just delivers to you what you're looking for or what they
Mm.
think you're looking for. You're not too old for TikTok. It's just that you've fallen into the TikTok stream of younger people maybe that don't like old people. So swipe again. And
Yeah.
and actually I have a really close friend that I'm going to have to call on the carpet today for fun, because they posted something on Instagram, and it said something about like, have you seen those old people like 55 and up? I'm like, I'm fucking 55 and up, and I'm your friend, and you're calling me old. That's fine, but it was hilarious. But I mean, yeah, swipe away, do something different. But the thing about TikTok that is really cool is you can really quickly see what, and Instagram too, with what is it, the reels, is that what they call it?
Hmm.
You can quickly see what works and what doesn't, because
Yeah.
I posted on TikTok the other day, and I mean, shocker, my friend Alex Wright, I made a promo with her, and in the first promo picture, and maybe the third, because she's an actress and she wants to look attractive, but you can see a little cleavage, and I'm like, holy crap, that thing got 700 views, and this mug got 3. All right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not saying to put cleavage in all of your TikToks, but what I'm saying is you can figure out what works. And the funny
Hmm.
thing too is about Instagram, which I noticed, and I made a little video about it. And we're not talking about massive views, but percentage wise, it's true. If I just post a picture of me having fun, just smiling, doing something, I get people that will respond to that, because the people that like me, they do want to see me, right?
Mm.
So it's like you can figure out with these things so quickly. Thank you, Michael. We look amazing on Facebook.
And,
Um, if you,
and we're
you
both in
know,
landscape.
yeah, right. We're in landscape. Oh, this is double landscape right now. Double the trouble. But yeah, that's what I love about TikTok, because you can quickly see what works and what doesn't. You can make adjustments. And I don't do duets, and I really do want 1,000 views or followers or whatever, because I really do want to expand my reach. And so I'm going to do some duets, because I hadn't thought about that. Man, if I got lucky and Snoop Dogg and I are duetting and I make Snoop Dogg famous, then it's going to get me a bunch of views. So yeah.
That's exactly what happened with me. Jen Psaki, she was saying something, at the White House. I mean, I'm political, but I'm able to, again, it's the same thing as be able to go, I just want to have a conversation. Why do you believe what you believe? Why do you support these people? Um, and the amount of hate that I get. So I found out it's on both sides, and I knew that, but it was just like, so the other day I was live, and there's a guy that goes by Moderate Democrat, and he hops on the screen, and he's got his Biden and Harris hat on, and I was like, "Hey, man, nice
Mhm.
hat." And everybody was like, you were trolling," and I was like, "No, I genuinely like." Cool. It's nice that I have my MAGA hat on, you have that hat on, and maybe
Mhm.
we can allow people to see you can have a conversation, because what I wear on my head or on my shirt isn't going to define me as a person, right? And I've had so many people go, "That hat says all I need to know." And I'm like, "You you're not even gonna have a conversation? Like you're not even gonna say hi?" So
Well, here's the
the do
thing.
what
Oh, go
mhm,
ahead.
go ahead.
I mean, you and I are politically on. Look, I am so far to the left. I make Castro look like Rush Limbaugh. Both dead, by the way. Probably a good thing in both cases. So, because Rush and his drugs and all that stuff. I mean, he was not the greatest guy either. No matter what you think about his politics, you could think about that differently. You and I are
Yeah.
going to be diametrically opposed. But in this whole conversation we've had, politics hasn't even come up, and we've had fun. Um,
Mm.
I'm probably, not going to want to debate politics with you, but at the edges, at the extremes, people didn't get along, and we didn't get along for years, but now we need to try to get along again. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
At least need to have some dialogues, and we don't. And you can see that two people with two different political views, if we're not talking politics, we can be buddies all day long, and that's how it
Right.
used to be. Used to be able to be that way. And damn it, as much as I don't like what you stand for, and you might not like what I stand for, if we can't get along, none of us are going to be able to do anything because the Chinese are going to be the boss, you know?
Right.
And I mean, the
Yep.
Chinese are gonna be the boss. There's no stopping that. Learn your Mandarin now. But if you
Mhm.
want to delay that a while, if you want to give your kids a chance to learn Mandarin and learn to live under their Chinese leaders instead of you learning to live underneath your Chinese leaders, then make adjustments for it. So, but we all have to figure out how to get along because this American experiment is not going to work if we're 100% opposed to each other. It just won't.
Yep. And it's interesting because again, that's like you said, people are reactionary. Like they just react to things, and it's weird because I go, a hat? I go, you hate me because a hat, right? I don't understand. And um like the other day I got banned, or I got something for community guidelines, right? They were like, oh, it's hate speech. And I duetted a video of
Oh, this is on
this.
TikTok?
Yeah, and I
Hmm.
duetted this video, and he was literally, I don't know if he, I don't know, w- you know, was he transgender? I don't know, but he was basically like, "Hey parents, this isn't for you, but it's for your kids. But watch the video and then hand the phone over to your kids." And it wasn't really like he wasn't saying anything really bad, but it was like, I don't want my kid to see that. So I literally was like, stay away from my kid. And they got me for hate speech. And I was like, really? And people were like, well, how do you feel about the LGBTQ community? And they get confused when I'm like, yeah, my brother's gay, and there's, like, as a Christian, I don't talk to you about it. I'm not you're my brother. I love you. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So um there's no awkwardness there, and so that's kind of how I've started to see, even with political, because I'm like, look, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to debate anybody. That's not what I do.
Thanks,
I
Michael.
say, why do you do what you do, and why do you believe what you believe? And that's it. Okay, cool. Maybe somewhere in the middle, because I believe our founding fathers of this country were like, look, we're not going to agree on everything, but we got to come to some type of agreement to where we have to give up something that we want, you give up something that you want, but we still, for the greater good, have come to a conclusion. So that's why I liked the fact that that guy came up with his hat, because I was like, look, we can have a normal conversation instead of you guys coming in here. Like, Dale will come in and be like, he's racist, right? How can you be a Christian and like him? And I'm like, well, for one, I didn't vote for him because he was Christian, so that's out the window. And then they'll, well, what are your views on abortion? Well, I mean, I'm Christian, so I think it's wrong, but it's not my job to say no, you can't do that. So I don't
Hmm.
know what you're going through. And hey,
Right.
by the way, let's worry about these women and their mental health after they have that. I'm just
Amen.
not
Let's worry
down.
about these women who choose to get an abortion and can't, and now we're making other states. It's like the whole thing's just a mess. And I love that you just said that you're not right now maybe even affected by it in that sense, and that help the women with their mental health. Let's help let's help educate women and men, young women and men, that slap a condom on that thing if you don't want to get pregnant, or don't stick it where you could get pregnant thing, whatever you want to do, right? But I mean, the last thing we want to deal with is somebody having to get an abortion. If that's a choice that people make, that's a choice that people make. But me being pro, um, not, I can't even think of it right now. Me being pro-choice doesn't mean I'm pro-abortion at
Hmm.
all. Abortion's heinous. It's horrible. I hate to think
Yeah.
that we do that, especially the abortions where it pretty clearly is a fetus. You know what I mean? Like those things are terrible. But the other thing that you have to really kind of be willing to start to think about is um, there is this idea that at a certain point the here's what people don't even understand, and I don't want to get into this too deeply, but here's
Yeah.
what people don't even understand about the birth of a full-term baby. When it's in the womb, it isn't actually a fully realized human as we know it because it's not breathing through its lungs. There's a lot of systems that it's a miracle that they literally come online as they're coming out, like the birth canal. In those
Mhm.
moments when the head is first starting to pop out and all that stuff, the system is now saying, "Oh, we're going to go fully online." I'm
Yeah.
not saying that at that point it would be acceptable to abort a baby. What I'm saying is it's not exactly the same thing until it's born. So
Mhm.
understand the science a little bit to people before you just spout at the mouth and do whatever. Like I said, I don't want to get into that conversation too deeply, but
Yeah.
that you are willing to be concerned about the women's mental health, that's a big deal because
Yeah.
women have been shit on this planet since the beginning of time because men are bigger, they're stronger, they have different types of egos, and for millions of years, it was pretty helpful to have a big thug, you know, half intelligent doof on your side, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, look, okay, I'm gonna, I'm because women tend to, again, not to stereotype people or whatever, but women tend to think differently. Our brains are wired a little differently, and I would rather have if I would rather have my mom, let this big doofy ogre that might or might not be my dad hang around to keep us protected. But now you don't. Now you don't need me to do that. You don't need this Shrek like dude that I am protecting you physically. So we can change what we think.
Mhm.
We can change how we do it. You don't have to be, the guy beating people with a club. Um,
Right.
Unfortunately, those guys turned into CEOs and they're narcissists, and that's a whole other thing. But um,
Right.
you know what I mean? That's where they went. They became the heads of corporations. But yeah, you just have to be in your time and place. Be in the
Mhm.
space that you are. This is not 50,000 years ago. I don't need
Yeah.
to be, protecting the tribe by beating away the other tribe. Now, what I need to do is protect the tribe by being rational, by being logical, by being thoughtful, by being scientific, by being courteous, all of these different things that it takes to be a human now. Why don't we work on being those things
Mhm.
and not the other things? So, anyway.
And that's interesting that you said that because um I've been a huge Dave Chappelle fan for a long time, way before the closer. And I think closer was funny. But there was one thing that stuck out to me when he was talking about Daphne Dorn. And she stated, "Don't think of me as a trans. Think of me as somebody who is having a human experience." And I go, that makes a lot of sense. I like that. I like the fact that, we're all experiencing this together. Um, and again, I don't know what they're going through, right? When these women have that, have to make that choice, whatever choice, to have the abortion. I just don't like seeing little, college kids going, "Oh, if me and my boyfriend have a baby, oh no, I'm getting aborted. I'm getting an abortion. You know why? Because I got a career ahead of me." And I'm like, dummy, you should have thought of that before you laid down. I mean, there's condoms, there's birth control, like there's ways to prevent that, and that's where I'm like, okay, I have something wrong with that, but I'm not. Again, I still can't tell you what to do because in America, I'm going to defend
Hmm.
your right. I might not agree with you, but I'm going to
Right.
defend your right to say, and as long as you're not hurting people, I'm going to defend that right for you to say it. Because if somebody takes your right away, who's to say
Right.
that they're not going to take my right, to
Well,
say or
here's
to think a certain way?
Here's the fun thing for a liberal about the Texas abortion law. Here's the thing I love about it. Because if that stands in the Supreme Court, guess what the state of Illinois is going to do? They're going to write a law exactly the same way. And guess who they're going to go after? Your guns. That
Hmm.
law will be able to do the same thing to guns that it's done to abortion.
Yeah.
Um, if that law stands, it's over, not just for abortion, it's over for guns, it's over for anything because that law is written in such a way that I could just insert the word gun where instead of abortion, And more or less, I can come sue you if you're walking down, my street with a gun and I see the gun and I feel threatened or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I mean,
right.
that thing opens up, whoo, man, everything's going to be banned. And that'll
Yeah.
be a nightmare. And then they'll have to sort it out. So you have to kind of be
Mhm.
careful what you wish for sometimes,
Yep.
because that Texas law, that's going to screw up conservatives way more than liberals, because you guys have a lot more issues that we'd like to take down than you necessarily do with us. So yeah, go
Right.
for it, Texas.
You're
You
like,
just
yeah.
blew up your whole thing. So yeah.
And I, even with the gun issue, like when you bring that up, it's interesting because people are like, "Oh, we need stricter laws." And I'm like, "Well, what are we doing with the laws that we have in place?"
Well, that is a
You
very good.
know?
That's a legit response. And look, I am one of those rare. Um, well, there's a saying. Um, if How does it work? If you go far enough to the left, they'll want their guns back. Meaning that, any radical is going to want a gun to do what they want to do. So you have to be
Mhm.
careful. But I'm one of those. I'm not a rare liberal, because I know tons of liberals that are hunters and stuff like that. But I mean, I believe that everybody. I hate guns in the sense that they can kill people. I love to
Mhm.
shoot guns. I'm a really good shot. You put me on the range with my Glock, which I don't have anymore. But I'll put enough rounds through that. You're not going to want to stand in front of me if you're the bad guy. I know how to make that. I know how to make that gun work. It's fun. Um, I used to hunt. I've hunted. At a certain point, I think as I got older, and I didn't really. I loved the camaraderie of getting up with my uncle Bob, my cousin James, my cousin Hobie. You know what I mean? My cousin Rex at some ungodly hour, and go eating in some crappy diner and getting delicious food. And eventually, I wouldn't even fucking load my gun. I'd climb up in the tree stand, and I would just enjoy the tranquility and the peace and the fun we were going to have that day. And we were hunting in Indiana with slugs, and I didn't do it all the time. They were hunters, all the time. I never had a deer step in front of me to have to make the decision, over all those, 20 times that I did that, maybe, or whatever. So, but I probably would have shot the deer, but I enjoyed the experience. I had fun.
Right.
I had fun doing it. And there were so many other reasons to do it. And when my uncle did get a deer, and over those 20 times, he definitely got more than one. Hell, the dude shot a bear, for God's sakes, and he ate that meat. I mean,
Yeah.
my uncle eats that meat. You know what I mean? He doesn't just shoot it and walk away. You know what I mean? What you think your cow? Like, cows don't. They're not born in plastic wrap. They're actually born with legs and fur and shit. And they're
Yep.
alive. And when you kill them, they're like, "Ouch! This Don't do that." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but that's what we evolved to do. If you choose not to eat meat, fantastic. I was vegetarian for a while with my second wife. It's just impossible to be a vegetarian because she
Yeah,
makes me
it
cook
really
meat all the
is.
time. You know what I mean? So I just kind of started eating it again. But if you don't want to eat meat, don't eat meat. You don't want to hunt, don't hunt. You want to hunt because you like hunting, but you don't want to kill anything, don't load the gun. I, I
Mhm.
I would go hunting right now, probably. Hell, I'd love to go bear hunting. I I would have a rifle in case that
Mhm.
bear did decide to kill me and it was between me and them. But
Mhm.
um, man, can you imagine how nice it is, to be, in Montana somewhere, in this beautiful place with people that you care about, and they're out. Have fun, Rick. But yeah, like, dude, I really do like. We can agree on things and we can disagree on things, but the fact that we can even have a rational conversation about it, that's good. That's the goal here, people.
Mhm. And that's funny talking about bears. Um, you can look this up on YouTube. I'm sure it's still there, but it's one of the funniest videos. I guess I'm like Michael. I'm a 5-year-old. You talk about
Yeah, I'm
farts or
15,
whatever.
but yeah.
It makes me laugh. So this bear is messing with this water thing,
Hmm.
right? Trying to figure out something, and next thing you know, the bear gets wrecked. Boom, hitting the balls. and the bear's like stumbles, you know, and kind of
Ow.
like what's going on, and then like falls over and then like curls up, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty much how we do it too. So yeah,
It's
that
just
I'd share. That's so
typical
funny.
dude doing something stupid gets hit in the nuts as a result. That's it doesn't matter what the species is, right?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, just speaking of bear videos, I've seen some cute ones. I love when that they can open car doors and shit. That's
yeah.
hilarious. I mean, like somebody's in their car, like there's a bear coming up to your car, lock the effing door because now the bear's sitting in your on your wife's lap. Like, dude,
Mhm.
lock the doors. But I saw this video the other day. Speaking of just videos, and I can't quite remember what the scenario was, but the guy had it would have been it was a shotgun, and it was a black bear. It wasn't. I don't think it was a full adult black bear. It might have been juvenile, but this bear decided to come after him, and man, boom, he shot that thing, and it probably was maybe it was bird shot or something like that, but it stunned it back, and he was able to get away, and the bear kind of shook it off. But just to kind of see a confrontation between a bear and a gun and a person, and even though and it certainly wasn't buckshot because I think it would have affected a little more, but it could have been. And to see that that bear was still coming at you, you don't mess with bears because black bears. Like the last time I saw a bear in the wild, what state do you think it was in? Guess the state. There were 50 of them. I saw a
In
black
the
bear in the wild.
wild, I
Yeah.
don't know.
You could just
Uh,
yeah, right. I mean, it could be Minnesota, it could be
Arkansas,
Wisconsin.
Minnesota,
Yeah, Arkansas. I don't know if Arkansas is I think they have bears, but
up north.
New Jersey. New Jersey. New Jersey's got tons of bears because New Jersey is mostly like Pennsylvania. It's not
Uh,
Hoboken. It's not right next to Manhattan. It's this pastoral, beautiful land. And I'm a photographer, and we were out east in Pittsburgh and in places in New York. I was doing photography, and my father-in-law would go around with me. He'd scout with me and everything. And we're walking back to the car, and I see a cub, and I'm like, Rex? He's like, yeah. I'm like, quickly, very quickly, but don't run and don't look back. Just walk to the car. The doors are open. Just get in the car. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, don't just go. Just walk. Quickly get to the car. And we got to the car, and sure enough, another cub and mama are trotting by. You know what I mean? And it, like just get away. Don't because I was afraid he'd see the cub and he'd be like, oh, so cute. I don't want that
right.
delay of a half a second. And if you're in
Nope.
Montana, wear a bell, sing, talk with your friends, because grizzlies, they won't mess with you if they hear you first. But if you sneak up on them, ooh, you do not want that to happen.
Oh
So
wow, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Ooh,
Ooh.
the grizzlies, that's still like because I've been out west enough that even when I say the word grizzly, it does make me sick to my stomach to think if I came upon a grizzly and it decided that I was dinner or I was a threat to its family, man, I wouldn't want to take on a black bear, but I might be able to survive that. But if you ever want to see what it would be like with a grizzly, watch what's that movie with DiCaprio? Um oh man, it's the one set in the West. Have you not seen that movie with Leonardo? Um, oh my gosh. Well, anyway, it'll come to me. Somebody may know what it is, but it's all CG. It's like all green screen, but
Mhm.
it has a grizzly attacking his character. It is the most brutal thing that you are
Oh
gonna
wow.
see. Like, it just bears are just massively powerful beasts,
Mhm.
and it doesn't matter. You have a gun, you got a knife. There's not much you're going to be able to do about it if they want to
To
go
do,
after you.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you say that because like I'm into film and I've done photography. Um, I actually started my well, it's not even my Instagram, it was like my son's because everybody's like, "Oh, he's so cute," and I was like, "Ah, it's
Hmm.
just whatever." Um, but when it comes to movies and things like that, I'll be like, man, if it wasn't something that I watched growing up, like The Sandlot or Back to the Future, like probably haven't seen it, you know. But I do remember learning in school about bears where somebody said that a 4 foot tall bear has the ability to take your head off if it wanted
I would
to.
imagine.
And I think the only thing that is worse than a bear, we don't have to deal with them, but are kangaroos.
Oh yeah, they're pretty nasty, I think. Yeah.
They're grown men, like trying to like. I saw this one. There's
Put
two
your
things
MMA
about them.
fighter against a kangaroo, they're dead. I mean, they
It,
literally jump and then they hit you in the chest with their feet and fly you 30 feet back, and you die before you hit the ground. You know what I mean?
yep.
Like they smash your heart.
They're
Yeah.
they're a special they have a special type of evil about them. And what I
Yeah,
mean
they
by
look
that,
cute.
yeah, you're like, oh, you're so adorable. So the
Right.
first video that I saw, again, people in Australia are just they're a different breed, because this big swole kangaroo is like shoulder checking their
Hmm.
window, and he's like, get on out of here. And the comedian that was doing the content was basically like, I don't know what you did in the kangaroo kingdom, but you've done something, because I mean he was really trying to get in. And so later I saw a video that he made, and what kangaroos will do, if you ever see a kangaroo in the water, okay, don't go hang out with the kangaroo. What they do is anything that comes near them, okay, they will drown it. It doesn't matter what it is.
Uh-huh.
It You'll get drowned. Like they'll literally, hey, oh, how did he put it? How did that comedian put it? He said they woke up and they chose hate this morning. They've got those
Kangaroos.
black Air Force Ones under the water.
Um,
Like, yeah,
the
it's funny.
if you want to, yeah, cassowaries, I think they're called cassowaries. Um, it's a bird that's a lot like an ostrich, and yet it has like these. It has like this. Look at this, like bony thing on its head, like a dinosaur, and then I think it has like really big like talons or something on the back of its foot or whatever. But they're insanely dangerous. And there was this guy, rich guy, that was rich enough to have his fancy home with his cassowary or whatever reserve.
Hmm.
Hold on, let me see if I can. I think it's let me look it up here.
Oh wow, what
Yeah.
are you, a dinosaur?
Yeah, exactly.
Uniform?
Well, this guy, knows that these things kill people, and yet he has them on his property, like roaming around. And guess what the cassowary did? Killed him. You know, like he didn't have them behind fences. He let them. I mean, it was behind a fence on his property, but he let them roam around where he could interact with them. Like killed them. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
like okay, wow. It just shows you that having money doesn't make you smart because like I think it would actually be cool maybe to have some cassowaries if I had a ranch, but I wouldn't let anybody be able to get near them. Yeah, they're
This dude,
nasty. Yep.
this dude has like a shield, like, and this thing
Are
is
you watching a video?
jumping with.
Yeah,
I'm looking at
no,
a.
right. This is
I'm looking at
real.
it.
This
Yeah.
isn't this is real life. I didn't even know these things existed.
This is it. Wow.
Yeah, put that
Yeah.
up
I
against
mean,
your MMA fighter. Good luck.
golly, dude. Like, talk about feeling bad when you get beat up by a bird. Like, how do you
Right?
explain that?
Hey, what happened to you
Uh,
today? Big Bird kicked my ass.
Like, what, dude? Like,
I just
yeah,
wanted a cookie.
that's what they look like. They're blue, and it's like I don't know. It almost has
Yeah.
like that thing on the bottom, like a turkey.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll take you out.
Cassowary, CASS. Oh,
Cassowaries. Cassowaries. Yeah.
so funny. And I told people a long time ago, and now I don't know if this is true, but I saw it in a documentary. But I was when I was younger, I wanted to be a herpetologist, which is
A turtle
uh,
guy?
um, basically what Steve Irwin was, the crocodile
Okay,
hunter.
there you go. Sure.
And what was most interesting, um, with these type of things, crocodiles, I always said, and if you know what um oh, what is it? It's a um Komodo dragon. I go, these
Mm,
are
mhm,
dinosaurs. So when
mhm,
people say
mhm,
dinosaurs are extinct, no, they're not. They're still walking around. You can find them. It's called a crocodile, an
mhm,
alligator, and a Komodo dragon. Like this real life dinosaurs to me because the Komodo dragons are
mhm.
huge. So I was watching this documentary, and apparently, well, according to this documentary, crocodiles and alligators existed during the time of dinosaurs.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
So,
they did.
so
Now, right. Go ahead.
So I don't know how they survived, and I'm sure that
Well,
they've.
okay, so that's interesting. So if you think so, you got to look at it this way. If you want to see a dinosaur, go look at a bird because birds are descended from a certain type of dinosaur. Um, so are birds dinosaurs? No, but yes. Okay. So,
Mhm,
but with sharks and whales and crocodiles and any of those species that there were species at the time of dinosaurs, they are. It's kind of tricky the way biology and all this stuff works. They're not the same thing, but they are, right? Because things
mhm,
kind of change and evolve. But were there alligators back then? Yes. Were they exactly like the alligators we have now? No. But you're 100% right. Basically, alligators have not changed in a major way for millions and tens and tens of millions of years. So yeah, it's can you imagine how crocs? I guess tend to be, from my understanding, more vicious than alligators. It just in maybe in behavior around humans. Like I think alligators tend to be a little more timid. Maybe you can scare them away more. I wouldn't want to try it, but than the crocodiles. I think the crocodiles are a little more vicious. But
mhm,
um, can you imagine living on a planet where everybody was like that? You know what I mean? Like they're all like that. They're all out to get you. And thankfully, um, a few little small mammals, like mice-sized mammals and stuff, survived all the extinctions, and we descended from them. So you think, wow, it's cool that alligators are still around, but our ancestors were alive at the time of the dinosaurs as well. They were little mammal species that we eventually evolved from. So, yeah. But I hope that they do. Here's the other thing, too. Jurassic Park, the idea of taking DNA out of amber is a little, not likely, though you never know. But what they can do with this CRISPR Cas9 system, this genetic um, rewriting of the genetic code, for example, they've done it. You can take a chicken and you can turn off the certain genes that'll make it more dinosaur like, and you can turn on certain genes that are in that chicken that came from the dinosaurs, and you can kind of make like a chicken dinosaur. There will be dinosaurs um, that are chicken size, that as they learn to fire those, to turn those genes on, we will see living dinosaurs. They won't be the same dinosaurs as in the past. It's not like they're going to bring back, Brontosaurus or whatever, but they'll be able to turn off genes selectively within a certain species. So maybe they'll be able to activate the cassowary, and it'll be more similar to another type of dinosaur. That stuff's coming. I think if you Google like chicken and turned into dinosaur or something, there's some pretty bizarre examples of what they're doing genetically. But
mhm.
the other fun thing too about that genetic stuff, because I was at the grocery store the other day, and I saw, for the first time in my life, I saw somebody that had their ears modified. They actually had their ears, plastic surgery done on their ears to make them look like elf ears.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and body modification, people do that. There's actually a mental disease where people do body modifications where they like remove their own limbs and all kinds of stuff. It's quite tragic. But the but again, between a cyborg which is part machine, part human, and genetic rewriting the genetic instructions, there will be, again, probably, I'm guessing you're in your 30s, maybe. There will be people, 25 years from now with fire red eyes and split tongues and pointy ears and green hair because their parents decided to turn those genes on, when they did the turkey baster pregnancy, in vitro. So, and they will be able to even you would probably be able to do some modifications even to, um, adults and stuff like that. You can eventually, you'll say you want blue eyes, swallow a pill, it'll rewrite your genes and your eyes will turn blue or something. So, a lot of interesting things coming along genetically. There's two ways you can modify things. There's a germline modification and a non-germline. So if it's non-germline and I just want my ears to be pointy, then my son is born with pointy ears. Then my son is born with pointy ears, but their son won't. But then there's something called germline modification, where if I had them turn on the genes to make my son's ears pointy and it was a germline modification, then their child's son would have pointy ears. So that means there's a lot of questions that we're going to have to decide. Do we want, some mad scientist or not so mad scientist, the guy that has hey, we'll change your DNA store, so you swing by, and then do you want, after you change my DNA, that all of my children, have purple tongues? Like, is that fair to those kids? So that's the kind of stuff that, we can't even figure out our politics, for God's sakes. And,
I know.
and we got to worry about genetic, changes. But I got to say, that I didn't say anything to the person with the modified ears because, I would have been precocious enough years ago. But I'm like, I figure they get that all day long. They probably don't mind it. But I mean, these were not clip-on ears. These were,
Like straight
they
elf
were
looking
real
ears.
ears, and they looked like elf ears, and it was really cool. Weird, I wouldn't do it, but it was really wild. I've seen that. You can get plastic surgery and have your ears turned into, elf ears. So,
That's so weird. I was looking up your thing about the chicken and the dinosaurs,
hmm
and apparently, yeah, there's some things that you can kind of see. I just put chicken dinosaur.
hmm
Um, yeah, and they say that dinosaurs had feathers and probably looked like
they did.
huge chickens.
Well, yeah.
So,
So what they don't know, which is difficult because of the fossil record, right? Because the feathers don't always fossilize, but yes, the dinosaurs that we know of, I mean, because as in biology and clades and all these things, but yes, dinosaurs did have feathers. Feathers may have co-evolved on other species, and they're actually now starting to actually be able to figure out, based on the fossil record, and I don't know how they do this, even what some of the colors might have been. So,
oh wow.
and yeah, so can you imagine? Uh, a T-Rex that looks like a beautiful peacock, for example, but it's gonna come kick your ass, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die, but oh, you're so pretty." You know?
Right. You're like, wow. And then they
Wow,
eat you.
thump.
You're like,
Yeah,
Thanks." That reminds
yeah.
me of the on Jurassic Park. Remember the little where what's his name where he died? He like kicked that little bitty dinosaur. Hey, buddy. And he was all
Mhm.
mean to it, and then he went and got his friends and was like, "What's up, bro?"
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it'd be kind of like that, right? Like you're so cute, and then they
Yeah.
come back with their
Oh,
friends, and you're dead. You're like,
yeah,
thanks.
do not wanna mess with a dinosaur. No, not
Uh-uh.
for sure.
No.
Not for sure.
Ooh, that's I don't even know if that's a weird one, but it says scientists grow first ever chicken embryos with dinosaur legs. I don't know if
Chicken
that's
embryos,
true, but
no. Yeah, sure. Reverse engineering, right?
dude, that looks creepy. It really does look like a dinosaur, dude. Like the mouth. I wish I could share
Um,
my screen, but wow.
do you have, are you using OBS or no?
No. I
You
I
know,
I downloaded OBS, but the learning curve, I'm like, I
the
don't
learning
understand
curve
any of it.
is steep, but I tell you what, dude, hit me up sometime and we'll just do like a Zoom or something. I'll get you on it in, in a half hour. You'll be rocking and rolling because it is nice to have to be able to do things, on another level if you want. It's not too tough, because I'm I know a ton about tech, but I'm not good at doing it, but
Yeah.
I've generally figured it out. But yeah, if you want an OBS tutorial, happy to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm
Because my green screen and and all that stuff, I mean, it's that's all generated through OBS. So
oh, okay. Yeah, that's 'cause I saw the benefits and somebody had tried to get me to use it like maybe a couple years ago, and I was like, and then I downloaded this one recently, and I was like, oh, the updates look pretty nice, this, that, and the other thing, and that was when I was trying to figure out how I was going to get my followers, because again, going back to that part of the conversation, I'm the type of person where like I'm gonna figure it out and I'm gonna figure
mhm.
out how to get it done. It's the same thing I've always done, even with music, because you're not gonna have the proper equipment. I had a friend that did audio engineering, went to school for it and everything, and she said you can have $1,000 microphone and sound like crap
Well,
because you
yeah,
don't
or
know
you
what
can
you're
be like
doing.
me and have a an expensive microphone that needs another expensive device for it to even work, and then not notice that you'd been broadcasting through your MacBook because you hadn't switched it, which was at the beginning of when I was on the show with you. I'm
Yeah.
like, because for some reason, especially with the new system, it um, is it? Yeah, it's still there. It looked like it had switched back, to the default
Hmm.
microphone, and I did that. I did a whole broadcast one night. I'm like, why is that? When I was watching, I'm like, why is that? Oh crap! I didn't turn the microphone on. So yeah, it's
Okay. I
but
I love it,
the,
man. Like just broadcasting in general and learning things like that.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Um,
I didn't know what I
and
was
and it
doing before I started on Periscope.
See, I had no idea. I was just kind of like, when I was in Periscope, and I'd been there for a while. But it's funny because, my wife is always like, well, it's so funny because she'll be like, well, and she's Filipino, so she's got an attitude. Like, it's not an attitude. Like, it's just her logic. Like, I'm business oriented, and she's
Mm-hmm.
more of like a work oriented. Like, oh, things are going bad
Again,
or people are being rude.
hmm
I'm gonna work. Me, I'm
right.
like, I'm business oriented. How can we how can we boost things up, and take it to another level? She'll be like, well, why you talk to people? They paying you? And I'm like, well, no, not
Right.
necessarily.
Well,
Maybe not right now.
that's a very Filipino attitude, like a totally different culture. Like if you want to get shit done, get somebody from the Philippines to do it because they'll get it done. It don't matter if you want it, anything else, make sure that you want it done a very specific way because otherwise they're going to get it done and you'll be like, "Well, wait." But I mean, culturally, the Philippines is incredibly interesting because well, I dated a Filipino woman for a while, and we culturally okay. So this is basically this is what happened. So I didn't, I don't remember the incidents, but she does. But it would have been something along the lines of we're walking down the street together, and I see an attractive woman, and I look at her, and I'm like, I might have met something like, oh, she's kind of cute or something. You could do that with even my current wife who's Jamaican, she would have agreed, maybe she's cute. But in the Philippines, that's just not something culturally you do. You do not,
Right.
tell your wife or your girlfriend or whatever that another woman is attractive. You do not admit that out loud. And
Yeah.
I didn't know that you do not do that. And so for about 3 days, um, I would like call her and she might say hello. And then we could be on the phone for an hour and she wouldn't talk. I couldn't get her to talk. She wouldn't say anything. And I'd be like, what did I do? I have no idea what is going on here, right? And eventually I beat her down to the point where I hate to say those words, beat her down, but I reduced her to the fact where she realized that I'm never going to figure it out, and she needed to tell me. And that's what I did. I had insulted her in a way that if you do that in the Philippines, basically you have to shower them with gifts. You have to say you're
Hmm.
sorry, and you have to make it up to them.
Yep.
And it was just a different culture. And
Yeah.
so in the Philippines, there's this idea of running amok. If you heard somebody runs amok, so in America, if you have a midlife crisis and you've got enough cash, you go buy a Porsche or a Porsche,
Right.
right? If you're a guy, or a Ferrari or whatever, that's your midlife crisis. Well, in the Philippines, it can go a little further than that. Sometimes people kind of run amok, which is more than buying a Ferrari and slightly less than climbing up in a tower at a university and shooting people. Somewhere in
Right.
between that. And they kind of let you get away with it because it's kind of a cultural thing. Everybody runs amok eventually. Well, in America, at the level of things that you can do and get away with running amok would not necessarily be acceptable here, but it's a different
Hmm.
culture. Same way in
Right.
Germany. I should Google this someday because I say it all the time, but there's no word strictly for weird in the German culture. And I like to joke around it because they don't need a word because they are weird. They don't need a word for it. It's just being a
Right.
German. You know what I mean? So, again, just a different culture. And so you got to take those in mind. It's like we were talking earlier on the show, and protocol and all this stuff here on whatever you do. But yeah, Filipino culture in general, because stereotyping, well, that's a whole other thing. But I mean, the hardest working people I know
Hmm.
tend to be
Yeah.
the people that I know from the Philippines. And lots of times, not first world countries have immigrants that come here and work very hard because they're very happy to be able to be here and have the
Yep.
opportunity. But just straight up culturally, I've never met anybody that even knew a lazy Filipino person. I'm sure they're there,
Yeah.
but I've never
Yep.
met one. I've never met
Well,
one.
see, here's my issue. My wife is not just Filipino, but she also is an architect and has been for over 10 years.
Uh
So
huh.
she spent about 10 years in Abu Dhabi. So that in itself, and I even and I don't know for sure, but I think I've seen something somewhere in the Bible about architects where you're just I'm like, they're just a different breed. Like she has to have everything a certain way, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything
Oh,
has to kind of
architects. Oh
match.
my gosh.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
that
but
would be
it's bad.
architects are very detail oriented, and Filipino culture tends to be a big work ethic. So yeah, a Filipino architect, that would be an intense person, no doubt,
Yeah,
no doubt.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's definitely intense. But it's funny because it's the easiest, simplest tasks. Excuse me, where she's like, she gets lost. And for the longest time, I was like, okay, this might not be your strong suit, but you build buildings, like you design buildings. You can go online and look up Khalifa University expansion. That was the last thing she was working on. Now, I'm not saying like she was just one of these architects. She was somebody that was um she she was the head of like engineers and certain architects as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and it was just kind of like you do all of this and I've seen like we went in a mall that she did. I think it was called Deerfields Mall. We walked through it and everything, and she was showing me the stuff that she was, um,
Responsible for.
she was responsible for, what she designed, and I'm just kind of like, but you can't figure out how to open the milk carton. I'm just being like I'm
Yeah.
exaggerating, but it's simple things that she's just like I'm lost, and I'm like, to me, as an outsider looking into that type of field, I'm going, I'm confused here. Like you have got the smarts up
Hmm.
here as to where I have to really learn, and I'm going for IT, so I understand things that maybe you wouldn't, and that's kind of how I'm like, dude, when she's got her AutoCAD up and she's doing stuff, and I'm like, how do you? I can't even like you can use a tape measure and I can barely use one, right?
Hmm.
Like I mean, I can't. I'm kind of exaggerating, but it's in the sense like that, and you're just kind of like, okay. And like when we bought the house, like you're right, very detailed, and a lot of them I feel can be what is it? They could be interior designers, because they pay attention, like you said, to that detail, you know. But yeah, it's interesting being married
Well, I
to
would,
an architect.
again, I don't know your wife, and but a lot of times people that are high level thinkers in specially focused areas, um, things like that we think would be simple are difficult because they just don't know how to process at that bit of a level. They're always processing it at a rate that, like, it's not significant enough to give it enough attention, which is,
Right.
interesting. I mean, there are stories around, you know, people like Einstein and stuff. Einstein would have to have an assistant, not really necessarily following Einstein around for these quirks, but because he was Einstein, he had people, that worked for him that would obviously be, like his assistants or whatever. But like he wouldn't ever like grab an umbrella, or he might not, grab his raincoat, or he might do X or Y that we would normally do because his brain is just somewhere else. So a lot of times, I would attribute that, to that. It's the difference. It's the exact same thing as you. I don't understand AutoCAD, and that's a sophisticated thing. But to somebody like your wife's mind, some simple tasks do become kind of burdensome because you just don't think that way. The brain isn't wired that way. So,
Right. And that makes a lot of sense. I never really kind of like thought about it like that. But yeah, she's very smart,
well,
and it's funny because she's like, "Oh, I'm, this and that," and like when she first, when we got married and she came, and she finally got a job, she's like, "I feel like um, I'm starting over, or I'm starting at the bottom," because she has, it's not a thick accent, but there are certain times where I'm like, "What?" Because
hmm
it's um and she's like, she works for a pretty good company. It's small. They work on a lot of the QTs, and McDonald's is mainly Quick Trips, McDonald's, and like Coca-Cola. And she's like, I feel like they're almost paying you what you were getting paid in Abu Dhabi,
hmm
but you have less responsibility. Which to me, I'm like, that's great. But she gets bored because she finishes
sure.
stuff and she's like, doop, 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 doop. Can
Oh,
you
I
guys
want
give me
that
something?
brain. I want that
You
brain
know,
because,
I'm like,
yeah, I can never get shit finished.
I'm I I'm weird. I can get it finished, but I multitask, so I do
Mm,
little bits at a time,
yeah.
right? It's
So
almost
you slow
like
yourself down.
right. You're like a
No, no,
plate
I
of
mean, I'm
food.
just giving you a hard time, but
Yeah,
multitasking, take three things. Okay. Each of those three things takes an hour if you just completed each task. They're 1 hour tasks. Everybody knows they're 1 hour tasks. It'll take you 4 hours. Because
yeah,
what's going to happen is you're going to switch back and forth. And you need that psychologically. It's not even necessarily bad that it takes you 4 hours. Multitasking, in a lot of ways, helps us shift focus. I like to multitask too because um, I could be concentrating on one thing. I get a little frustrated. I go to something else. But then while I'm doing this something else, ooh, then I can think about the other thing and go back. Some people can work well that way. But in general, multitasking. Um, Here's another fun thing that about things that we think help us, but don't.
hmm
The Back in the day when we had these things called pagers, or uh, any of these devices like cell phones that we have today that allow you to be much more communicative with people. those things actually do take up more time because now you're getting more messages, you're getting more people interrupting your day, and so they're taking away from your productivity. So in the long run, your productivity is vastly reduced. In the short run, your productivity is reduced, but in the long run, more stuff does get done because you'll be able to kind of be involved in doing some differently. But what happens in corporate culture is, well, now we expect you to be fully available all the time, and we expect you to get more done. You can't do that. You can't expect
Yeah.
somebody to be made more available and give them more things to do and get more done. It doesn't work that way. I had a
Mhm.
boss early in the pager days that she refused to get a pager because she said, everybody I see that has a pager gets less work done because they're constantly getting interrupted with pages. And that was before
Mhm.
email. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
well, when email was ubiquitous. So, a lot of times these things that we think make life easier or simpler actually make it harder. But again, as I said, nothing wrong with those three things taking you 4 hours. You just need to understand that it will take you 4 hours, not three. And that I choose to work that way. Like, I have to have several screens open. I want to be doing a couple of different things. Even, while I'm talking to you, you're probably doing the same thing. I've been thinking about a promo I need to cut for today, right? It's in my head. And we can't just segment things out. It's hard,
Mhm.
just to
Yeah.
work on one document because of the way our minds work. But yeah, your wife, I got to say, that's really cool to, first of all, just to be an architect is an amazing thing. To
Yes.
have the discipline to be an architect, that takes a very special person. I have a friend who's an architect, and, architects, your wife probably, did your wife have to learn how to write like an architect, or does she have the architect script? Does she handwrite as an architect? How old is she?
She's 38. She's the
Okay,
same
so
age. She's fixing to be 30.
she might have, depending on where she went to school. But so before computers were again in everything, there's a
Mhm.
very distinct style of writing of print that architects do, and they would all learn, and it all looks the same.
So it's
Um,
writing, it's not like drawing, because I know
No,
she
it's
like I've
the
watched her
drawing
sketch.
styles would definitely look the same too, but yeah, it's literally just the writing as, architect writing is its own kind of, in a sense, you're handwriting it, but it's almost like its own font. And I
Mhm.
would imagine there are architect fonts that look like the writing style of old. But the level of detail um, that architects have to be able to do, it's insane, right? I mean,
Mhm.
um, but the other fun thing about architects is they're notoriously, they tend to be kind of notoriously um, arrogant because you build a freaking building, that's a pretty big deal. But
Yeah.
thank goodness arrogant architects have things called engineers because arrogant architects build structures that will fall down, except for the engineers that figure out how to make sure that it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it takes two
Yeah.
to tango. And it's actually the engineers a lot of times they're the key to a lot of these big
Yeah.
buildings because you can have a guy like Frank Gehry or oh my gosh, what's the architect? Jeannie Gang in Chicago.
Mm.
Jeannie Gang. Oh my gosh, she is designing this building. Um, just look up Jeannie Gang and her buildings. They're
Mhm.
amazing. She's got amazing buildings, and she's
It's
got this new building in. It's like GEANNIE Gang, like gangbanger. Um, she's got a building. Can't think of the name of it now. That I think it's done in Chicago. This building is so cool. So one of the things that happens in really tall buildings when you live on the upper floors is you get this sway, right? I mean, it's very hard to engineer the sway out because the building needs to sway so it doesn't break. So one of the things she did with her design of this newest building is to first of all, the maybe like the 70th and the 71st floors are wide open, no windows. You can't go on the floor. So when the wind hits the building, it just races through there. So it reduces the sway. But then they have these massive, massive tanks of water. I think they're on each side of the building and they're counter stabilizers. So if the building tends to go this way, that
Mhm.
that big wall of water pulls it back. If the building goes this
Huh.
way, the water counterbalances it back. So the building between those two things stays incredibly steady. Now, You want an incredibly steady building at the top floors because those are the most expensive real estate, right? The
Mhm.
higher up, the more expensive the building is. So if you can make the people at the top in the penthouse and those top floors not feel that sway so much, they're much more likely to buy in your building than the building next door that doesn't have those countermeasures. Jeannie Gang is an amazing architect. I love her. She's fantastic.
And you said she's from Chicago, right? That's
She's from
probably why
Chicago,
my
yeah.
wife
Yeah.
it's probably why my wife wants to go to Chicago. I was like, I don't want to.
Where do you live?
I was we live in Arizona, so we have like Frank Lloyd Wright
Of
or
course.
I
Well,
think that
that's
yeah, so,
Chicago. Frank Lloyd Wright, the
yeah.
Chicago
Mhm.
School of Architecture, very specific windows, very specific dentals, the detailing. She would come to Chicago and she could see the history of architecture unfold across the city. The oldest skyscraper, not the first skyscraper, that was in Chicago, but it was torn down. But the oldest skyscraper in existence is the Monadnock building, I believe, in Chicago. Yeah, as an architect, Chicago's like Mecca to somebody from Saudi Arabia, from some, well, it's not religion, but it's their Mecca.
Right.
It's the place to go.
Okay.
It's a great place to visit for architects.
See, and that's why I think, now I'm talking to you, it's probably what why she wanted to go because she was telling me about it, and I was like, I don't, what? Why would I want to go to Chicago? It's cold and
Does
no.
she want to live here or she wants to visit?
No, she just wanted to visit. Yeah, she
Oh
just
yeah,
wanted to visit. And so Frank Lloyd Wright, he's got a bunch of stuff out here. He's got like a
in Oak
house, and
Park, Illinois. Yep.
I mean, they've got a bunch of stuff of his stuff even
Mhm.
out
In
here,
Arizona. Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
I've
know,
seen the Frank Lloyd Wright stuff out there. Um,
it's
and
amazing.
yes, he, I think towards the end of his life or whatever, I mean, I don't know how many years before, but he eventually he goes to Wisconsin after Chicago and kind of builds a little bit of a what do they call it's like, a I don't know, a compound or whatever. But then out in Arizona, that's where the big deal is. Yeah. The big Frank Lloyd Wright thing, very influential. Prairie School of Design. In Oak Park, Illinois, a suburb, the first suburb west of the city, there
Hmm.
are dozens of Frank Lloyd Wright houses. There's some up
Hmm.
here in Madison, Wisconsin, that's not too far from us. And then the thing about Frank Lloyd Wright is his teacher, what was his name? Anyway, it'll come to me. But you can see his houses here too. So if you're a Frank
Hmm.
Lloyd Wright fan, yeah, this is the place to go to see it. And
Makes
come to
sense.
Chicago. In the summer, and it'll be humid, but you've got the lake. There's lots of fun stuff, to do in the city, and then your wife can do her geeky, look at buildings all day kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you and your is it your son? Is it a son that
Hmm.
you have? Yeah,
Yep.
you guys. I'll give you plenty of fun stuff, to do in Chicago. I love New York. I lived in New York in suburban New York as a teenager, kind of really came of age in New York, and so I like to tease because I've been in Chicago now for God 35 years probably. That Chicago's a cute little provincial town compared to New York. Like all of downtown Chicago could fit in Central Park probably because New York is just massive. But
Yeah.
yeah, everybody's friendly. It's a fun town. We've got a lake which is pretty much like the ocean. You can't quite surf, but there's no jellyfish or sharks, which makes it really nice. Um,
Yeah.
and although, man, the human mind, my mind goes in different places. But the last time I got in the lake, okay, so I'll go in the lake all day long from the beach, right? But we were doing something over the summer, and my son wanted me to go in the water, but we were like along the pier, right? So the water was deep, and for
Hmm.
some reason, I don't know. Even right now, it just kind of freaks me out. I can go in the water all the way up to my neck, even, or maybe even deeper where I have to swim out. And it didn't bother me that I couldn't touch the bottom, but I did
Hmm.
not want to get into that water that, I couldn't just stand in at first and then go into the deeper thing. It just felt weird. It just felt like, ooh, it was just strange the way the mind is. I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, Dad, just get in the water. You get in the water all the time. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not. I don't want to. Like, for some reason, I feel like I need to be able to touch the bottom. And I still can't figure out why my brain was doing that. But we have a great lakefront. A lot of fun, lot of fun stuff to do. Now, given the choice, because your wife forgetting the architecture thing. Well, yeah, I'm going to go to LA or something else, that I might have
Yeah,
more fun in. But yeah, Chicago's a fun little city to come to for a few days, and totally different than Arizona's going to be. So,
definitely. Yeah, and she's I think she's wanting to go back and visit um Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
mm,
Um and that when I okay, so when I went to visit her, so we met online actually.
okay,
Um and so when I went to go visit her in Dubai, I'm like, dude, first time everybody's like, are you crazy? Like you've never been out of like I'm originally from Texas, so as far west as I have been was Arizona, right? Like that's it. Like I didn't not Mexico, not Canada, like none of that. And they're like, and you want to go where? And I'm like, yeah. So when we get to Dubai, because we stayed at a hotel there for a couple of days, it reminded me of like if you're a Batman fan, it's like
mhm.
Gotham City because there's not one
Dubai,
building that, yeah, there's not one building that looks the same. Like there's
yeah,
not.
super
And
wealthy place.
in Abu Dhabi, which is actually the capital, which gives Dubai their money,
Hmm.
there's like a building that was a circle. Like it literally was a circle. And you're going, that's the okay, America, what are we doing? They've got all
Oh
these
yeah,
cool stuff, and we've just got these cookie cutter crap, and
yeah,
it's
no, for
just
sure. Because that most of the big architecture firms, I'm just looking up that circle building. Most of the architecture firms in America are doing the majority of their work over there because that's where the people with the money that are wanting to create new things are doing. Um, uh, Five unusual
mhm,
circle buildings. Al Dar headquarters, Abu Dhabi. There it is. Yeah. There's
weird,
actually
huh?
one in China that's got a hole in the middle of it. That's
That's
really wild.
weird. Yeah, and I mean, I could go on. There was the one that I felt was more interesting than that one was we were driving and it looks like a honeycomb. And
Mm.
she goes, "You see that building over there?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "So when the sun hits it from a certain side, it literally shifts. So it actually shades that side
Yes.
of the
Yes.
building."
Yeah.
And I'm
Right.
like,
Right.
they
Right.
can do that?
Oh yeah.
Like, 'cause,
You know what's really cool?
yeah.
It's so simple, but we're not seeing them yet. Is the have you seen the LED windows before? So
Yes,
you can just black out your window by just flipping a switch. I totally want that someday.
I
That
would,
would be really
yes,
cool. I think
I
that'd
would
be really neat.
definitely I would do that.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, is this even real? Like, it took me a minute to figure out, like,
Right.
yeah, they can
Well, and
do
the tech
that.
has gotten really good because they can make pretty big size sheets of it now.
Hmm.
Before it was fairly small windows. I don't think you'll see it. Alexa, turn off the lights because I've got my studio lights on.
Hmm.
Yeah, you'll see it reduced there a little.
Yeah,
Alexa, turn on the lights. But that right there is cool to me. Or I can be,
yeah.
hey, Google, set the thermostat to 68 degrees for the next 30 minutes. So the, all right, thank you. So, I got to tell you a Google story too, but you know, somebody the other day because I was in the office and I said to turn off the lights and they're like, I didn't even know you could do that. And I'm like, how do you do that? I'm like, well, you have to buy special bulbs,
Hmm.
or and it's like it seems very like first world. Wow, that's decadent, but it's really cool because now with the Nest thermostat, which by the way, if you guys want an electronic thermostat like Nest that you can control, a lot of your energy companies, whoever provides your gas or your electricity, they'll usually have rebates. So I basically got mine for free. But but it's really cool because you can have it set so that it knows who you are. So when you come home, as you walk into each room, I don't have those bulbs set up like that. I only just have the one room. But if I had
Mhm.
all the bulbs in the house with those special bulbs, as I walk from room to room, it would just turn them on and off based on if
Oh,
I had
wow.
my phone in my pocket. So
Oh, that's
that
good.
saves a lot of money in the long run, because if my son forgot to shut his, light off today, then it could be set that, to shut off or whatever. And the heating thing, that's huge, because
Mhm,
heat is going to go up 40% this winter. Gas,
mhm,
natural gas and electricity are going to go up 40%. And that is the reason, one of the reasons I got the thermostat. The other was that it was acting up. But even right now, even only having it for a month, um, when we go to sleep, so from midnight until like, what does it turn on? Something around 5 a.m. I have that thing set for 60 degrees. It won't go down that low, but we're all asleep. Our bodies are fine with it. If you do wake up, it might feel a little cold, but then around 5 a.m., it starts to raise the temperature up to 72 degrees. By the time everybody's awake, it's 72 degrees. And then I have it set when my wife goes to work at 8:30, then it goes back down to 68 because I don't need it so warm in here. That will save me a ton of money as opposed to just leaving it set to 72 all the time, or leaving it set at 68 and constantly having to raise it to 72. I have it set so that um, it gives me the temperature that I need at the time, no more, no less. So that's going to save us money this winter too. So definitely get yourself a Nest thermostat if you can. And like I said, most power companies will either sell that to you online and send it to you for a small fee, maybe $20, as opposed to 100 plus, or they'll rebate you yeah, you love your Nest, exactly. They'll rebate you the money.
mhm.
I, it's funny, Joseph. Um, my wife sent me a text. She's like, "Do not change the temperature of the Nest unless you talk to me," because I was cold. I was working late. It was like 2 in the morning, and I hiked that thing up to 75 for like half an hour, to warm me up. And she does not like it hot. So she woke up and she's like, "What are you doing?" But yeah, I do anyway. She doesn't. I can set it however I want. I know the codes, but yeah,
Right.
it's really convenient. And all those conveniences that are very first world are the things that we do need to do in the countries where they can't do it to save money. Because if I can, just, say, hey, Google, turn off the lights in the dining room because I can see the dining room lights are on. And I'll do that instead of, getting my lazy ass up and turning them off or having to interrupt what I'm doing here. In the long run, that stuff really does save you money if you can do the initial investment up front.
Yeah, and that's what I was wanting to do because my brother has smart switches, right?
Hmm.
Instead of the lights, he has the switches
Correct.
because he's like, look, the smart bulbs, right? He goes, they're not very smart if the light switch isn't on, right? And we've got a lot of that, like the light behind
Hmm.
me. I don't know if you can see that one's a smart light. We've got the ones on the garage. Um, and speaking of which, the thing that we've got that's on the garage, I don't know if anybody is familiar with, but um, it's called My Queue, and I can literally from my phone, I can just wherever I can be like, oh, I'm gonna open up my
Yeah.
garage,
Right.
or because it'll show you like, hey, it's been closed for 3 hours or whatever, or if
Those are
there's something
fun.
in the way.
If you have
Yeah,
got cameras near your garage and you can see
yep,
your neighbor walk by and you open the door and then they look and then you close it a little and then they look and you open a little and they're like, "Wait, what's going on?" And then like they look and they think they're starting to control it with their mind. Oh, just you can have fun with them. Yeah.
yeah,
But,
it's so
yeah,
funny. Yeah, and and
yeah,
I
have
and I
fun with your neighbors.
it's funny that you said that because I was gonna try to do that last night because I was like out on a bike ride. It's gotten a lot cooler in Arizona. I live in the desert, so we're still up at like 80 degrees or 70 degrees during the day, and it's
Must
like
be rough.
60 degrees at night. Oh, I love it, man. Like because in the
I love
morning
Arizona. I love the desert.
it's it's a different type of cool, you know.
Mhm.
But I was like, I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna freak her out because she was wanting to put up Christmas lights, and so I was like, I'm just gonna freak him out and just open it, and she'll be like, "What?" So our son has a little clicker for it because he's got a little
Mhm.
Power Wheel, And so we've put the other clicker on there so he can open it and close it. Well, little guy decided that he wanted to slip outside and open the thing and was like riding his bike and forgot to put his bike in. So I'm getting an error message and I'm like, what's going on here? And I pull up and I'm like, oh, and she's looking at me like, you didn't close the garage. And I'm like, yes, I did. He's got access to that. And he's at the point to where if you're not paying attention, you're going to be cleaning up a mess later. So you got to literally kind of be like, hey, what are you doing, man? Come here real quick, So those things are fun, and it's fun for him because he'll walk up and be like, hey Google, tell me a joke, because we got the
Right.
Nest,
Exactly. Where I get
we've
all
got
my
the
jokes.
cameras. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I really do. It is funny though, because do you have the Alexa? You have one of those?
I think we
Alexa?
have. No, we have it's just
Just
Google.
Google. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'll tell you a quick little Google story. No, Alexa, just stop, please. Really? I don't want to talk to you. The but I now use Alexa for all of my no, Alexa, stop. I now use that device for all of my scheduling because unfortunately, if I have Google do a reminder for me, it'll tell me I have a reminder, but it won't tell me what the reminder is. And that's because Google doesn't want your privacy to be invaded when I've told Google that I'm going to have an affair with a neighbor and I'm meeting her at 5. They don't want to announce that and get me in trouble. Alexa, she doesn't care who I have an affair with. She's going to announce it. Well, it doesn't do me any good if you tell me, revolution, you have a reminder. Um, okay, what's the reminder? If I have to ask her what the reminder is, I might not. And Alexa just kind of tells you what it is. Alexa runs my life. She is fantastic. She's great at scheduling, and but I had Google. I was relying on the Google reminders until I switched to Alexa, and when we moved into this place, like I didn't hook my Google up for a day and then I couldn't find it. And I'm like, "Oh my god, I miss my friend." You know what I mean? Because I talk to
Yeah.
Google all day
Like,
long.
yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
it becomes a part of your life. Oh, and
Yeah.
I have it's 11 o'clock. I got to jump into a Zoom meeting. Dude, this was fun. We'll
All
do it
right. It
again.
was very fun. Thanks for
All right.
coming, and have a good day.
You too, man. Take care.
Thanks. You too.